is going on? It is Saturday night. It's been a pretty crazy night outside of 49ers stuff. There's a really good Final Four game that just wrapped up. Warriors were just playing, so I admittedly got a little behind on what I was going to plan to do for a stream tonight. So I'm going to try to just wing it, see how it goes. Maybe if we get some more people in and get some questions later like we did last weekend. I don't think I'm going to go for 5 hours again, but we can have some fun. Talk. Doesn't have to be strictly 49er stuff. Again, we just saw one of the better college basketball games I can remember in recent memory. The NBA is coming close to the playoffs. So, we'll have some fun. We'll talk about all of it. Doesn't have to be strictly 49er stuff. There are a couple Niners points I do want to get to. But again, this is about having fun. And if there's stuff you guys want to talk about, we will get to it. Mariah, what is up? Those Warriors went on like a 18-0 run. It felt like I was watching both the Warriors and the Duke UNC game at the same time, and I tuned back in, and I'm like what? Like they're like back in this game all of a sudden halfway through the fourth quarter. So I had it split screen for a while, but I was so locked into the Duke UNC game that that flurry just started. I was lucky to catch it as it was going on because it definitely came out of nowhere. So yeah, really good. If you're a sports fan in general, this was a really fun night. Again, that Duke UNC game is one of the better college basketball games I can remember in a long time. Like when you think of the stakes, you think of like Coach K's legacy on the line, two of the like one of the biggest rivalries in all of sports, and they'd never played in the tournament before. I thought that was super interesting, and then it goes down to the wire like that. So yeah, I thought that was just super fun. Hendricks is saying it was an instant classic. Yeah, I agree, dude. That was that shot that I think it was Love for North Carolina. I haven't watched as much college basketball as I normally do this year, so I apologize if I'm messing up anybody's names. That three he took with like 30 seconds left and they were up one. That took some courage, and I was very impressed with that. Teacher's asking, do you think Wiggins should be more aggressive in the fourth attacking the basket? I think Wiggins should be aggressive attacking the basket all the time. I am an Andrew Wiggins truther. I have been for a long time. I felt very vindicated earlier this season, and then that turned quickly into embarrassment and betrayal almost, it felt like, because Wiggins started so hot, and then he had, he's had a rough stretch since the All-Star break, to put it plainly. But I think he's a really good player. I think he's one of the – he and Poole are the two guys to me that can really manufacture points at the rim at will, where when they do attack the basket, they're really hard to stop. Steph obviously does it. Clay can do it, but those guys just take it to a different level. So, yeah, I think Wiggins should be aggressive all the time. I'm a big Andrew Wiggins guy, and it makes me really happy to see him do well and have him succeeding, because I think he's really important for what they're going to want to do going forward. I don't know, man. Kansas looked pretty good, but that UNC team is going to be tough, Zach. We'll see. That UNC team doesn't look like they're going away anytime soon. The big man, I think it was Bakat. I think that's how you say his name. He looked like he's had 20-plus rebounds in back-to-back games, but it'll be interesting to see how that ankle heals up, because I know I've rolled my ankle like that a couple times, and sometimes you can get by on adrenaline the first night, but when it starts swelling up the next day, it can be really hard. So, yeah, we'll definitely look into that. Yeah, that Caleb Love shot, man, that was crazy. I just to take that shot in that moment in such a big game, that takes some serious courage and belief in yourself. And I thought that was it's so cool, because you got to remember it, man. At the end of the day, these guys, like I'm 26, right? And these guys are all like 19, 20-year-old kids pretty much. Like, that's crazy to think about, that they're out on this stage, millions of people watching with, like, Coach K is one of the most historic coaches in, sports history. To be involved in that moment had to have been crazy. So we'll come around to that. If you have any thoughts about the games tonight, drop them in the comments. We'll talk about it. If you watch the Warriors game, I know there's a lot of Niners fans who are Lakers fans. Hey, this is a therapy session. If it's been a rough year for you, I'm not going to lie. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching it, because it's been extremely entertaining to watch, like, the roller coaster ride that is the Lakers. I still believe that they have a chance to win some games in the playoffs if they make it. So I'm not sitting here just, pointing and laughing at them, but it has been extremely entertaining. So if you guys want to talk about that, we can talk about that. But there are a couple Niners points I did want to get to as well. Mainly, I don't know if any of you guys saw already, but Frank Gore announced that he will be joining the 49ers to retire with them. Not to play with them, but will be joining the team to retire as a 49er in the coming months. Made that announcement on Instagram Live earlier. So one of the most decorated 49ers and one of the most beloved 49ers in franchise history will be returning to the team to basically sign the one-day contract and retire and end an illustrious and what I believe should be Hall of Fame career. So maybe if you guys want, we could do something fun. If you have a favorite moment of Frank Gore, a touchdown, a carry, or something that he did, maybe share and I'll throw it up on the screen. We can talk about it. I just wanted to touch on real quick what Frank Gore has meant to me as somebody who's watched this team for quite a while and somebody who was, there at Candlestick for all these games when he was pretty much driving this team. He to me is just everything you could ask for in an icon that the kind of, represents the franchise. Somebody that came in, worked, as hard as anybody, still to this day is so endeared by fans, is so tied in with the 49ers fan base. And I just think he deserves the number retirement. He deserves the ceremony. He deserves everything. And if they could find some sort of consultant role or specialist role with the team, I think that would be really cool. Hey, you know what? Bobby Turner's fantastic. Bobby Turner's also getting up there. I think he's in his mid-70s now. Maybe there's a role down the line where Frank Gore can come back to San Francisco and coach the running backs. For me, he's just a guy where even if it's just a name and title where you give him some kind of, consultant role where he can come back and be around the team as he sees fit, for his schedule, you do it, man. Frank Gore is absolutely just one of the all-time 49ers. So I thought that was really cool. The other thing that was pretty cool with a recent 49er was, if you guys didn't see, Terrell Owens is going to come back to do that fan-controlled football. So Terrell Owens is 48 years old, and he's going to get back on a football field. It's not the NFL, but he's still going to be out there on a football field. I'll be honest with you guys. I've seen some videos of Terrell Owens working out the last couple seasons, and I've watched some of his stuff pretty closely. I think Terrell Owens could come into the NFL and still be a 500-600-yard receiver. And maybe in the right offense with the right volume, he could probably still go for 1,000. Like, the guy's still in great shape. He still has a great burst. He's still really fast. I don't know if he could hold up through, the whole 17-game season, but Terrell Owens, to me, is somebody that could still, immediately go to an NFL team and contribute. When you think about the fact he's 48 years old, I think that's nuts. So, Frank Gore, Terrell Owens, two of the more beloved 49ers in the last 2 decades, both had big news this week, so I thought that was really fun. The other thing I wanted to talk about that was 49ers related was Kyle Shanahan said that he thinks the 49ers improved. And I think that's a really interesting talking point. And it's something I'll get into more in depth in a more structured stream. Again, this one's just going to be short and quick, probably not, too long. Eric, I will get to this in a second because I like Kevin Gibbons. I'll actually talk to you about that in one moment because I'm working towards it. But again, this stream's just going to be quick. If you guys have any questions, it doesn't have to just be 49er stuff. If there's something that you want to talk about or an opinion you have, I'll throw it up and we can talk about it. Again, this is just kind of spur of the moment. I got caught up doing some stuff last night, so I couldn't stream anything. And then today I got caught up watching really good basketball games, I'll be honest with you. So I didn't have the structured layout that I was hoping for. But Kyle Shanahan pretty much spoke about how he thought the team got better. And I thought that was really interesting because, they lost DJ Jones, they lost Laken Tomlinson, they lost K'Wan Williams. They lost Mostert. Those are guys that are impact players that have made a huge, left a huge mark on this team during the last couple seasons. So the fact that Kyle pretty confidently came out and I don't expect him to say, oh, we got worse, but there's ways to go around it where you could say, oh, we still have to evaluate or the season's far away. He didn't really sidestep it. He came right out and he said that he felt like the team got better. And he immediately mentioned that his utmost priority and what he thought the biggest need was cornerback. And the 49ers obviously brought in Charvarius Ward. So, I'm sitting here kind of thinking, I thought about his comments a little bit and I'm like, I can see how he kind of got to that point because I do think the upgrades that they get in the secondary and then the upgrades they got on special teams, I think it's so unfortunate that, again, we don't really talk about special teams unless it's blowing a game, unless it's costing a team a game or it's a missed field goal at the end. But the 49ers special teams really, it wasn't good for most of the season, especially the coverage units. I remember watching games And I tweeted out like 3 or 4 times. I apologize for recycling material, but I tweeted out like 3 or 4 times, like the picture of like Joe Rogan from Fear Factor. And it was like, for your next challenge, you're going to have to tackle the opposing team in front of their own 35-yard line on a kickoff. Because it felt like every time the opposing team was running kicks back, they were starting, on the 33, 32, 34. And that 7, 8, 9-yard difference is huge when it's happening every single time. That's basically a fresh set of downs for a team. So I thought that the 49ers did a really good job being aggressive doing that. Jamal, what is up, dude? Adam, what is up? Yes, please like and subscribe. Sorry if you haven't already. I promise you, more often than not, the streams will be a bit more structured. I'll have a bit more going on. But tonight I was just like, hey, it's been fun watching these basketball games. I'm in front of my computer watching anyway. Maybe I'll hop on. We'll see what happens. So Adam, Jamal, if you guys have any, topics you wanted to talk about, things you wanted to get to, let's talk about it. While we're on the subject of the 49ers getting better, right? Like they lose DJ Jones. DJ Jones is one of my, favorite players in the league to watch. The guy is just so elusive and slippery for a guy who's, 6 foot, 305 pounds and is playing at the nose tackle position, playing zero tech, playing one tech. I think that the fact that they have the depth that they currently have and they had the players behind Jones is why I'm not as concerned that he won't be there. So I'll get to a couple, but the first one I want to talk about, Eric brought up, is Kevin Gibbons, because I really like Kevin Gibbons. Eric really likes Kevin Gibbons. Eric's saying that he thinks he's going to be a breakout candidate. And for those of you who don't know, Eric in like May or April of last year, well before the season started, was the first guy I saw who was really pounding the table saying that Arden Key signing was a big deal, that Arden Key was going to have a good year. So that was his breakout candidate last year. And Arden Key had a heck of a season. He actually drove that 49ers defensive line during stretches of last season. So if Eric's telling you a guy's going to be a breakout candidate, you're going to want to, blanking on the word I'm looking for. You're going to want to keep that one on the back burner and remember it. I apologize. Like I said, I'm a little wired out. I've been watching 2 basketball games that were wire to wire for the last 3 hours. So Kevin Gibbons. This guy is another guy where it's an undrafted free agent that they bring in, they've developed. And to me, he's a guy who not only looks good against the run, but he has a nice bag of pass rushing moves from the interior. And I think as much as, Nick Bosa's just absolute stud, and it's so nice having these edge rushers who are just, great talents. When you get guys on the interior that can disrupt the center of an offensive line and disrupt that interior offensive line, it's just something that even the greatest quarterbacks and the greatest offenses this league has ever seen have yet to find a consistent answer for. And I'm not sitting here saying Kevin Gibbons is going to go out and be Aaron Donald or anything, but I do think Kevin Gibbons is a guy who can affect the outcomes of games by getting pressure in the interior, rushing out of the 3 tech, rushing out of the 1 tech. And to me, he looked like the next best option on the interior behind a DJ Jones. And now when you factor in that you're going to have Javon Kinlaw and Hassan Ridgeway, that rotation starts to look really good. So you get a guy like Kevin Gibbons who's not going to get burnt out, who's going to stay fresh, and who's going to be able to consistently generate that pass rush from the inside. So I think Kevin Gibbons is a really, really solid player. And he's just another in a long line of 49ers players who are coming through this like undrafted pipeline. And, it's something to me where I'm trying to kind of get to the bottom of it. I have something I'm really excited about. I think Tuesday I'm supposed to talk to somebody about it. So I'll throw a video up on the channel for you guys to see. I don't want to spoil anything in case the dates change. But I want to talk more about this undrafted free agent stuff as we get through this offseason, because that's one thing the 49ers do really well. They're able to identify these guys after the first 250 players are already taken off the board, and they're getting these impact guys, even guys like JaMychal Hasty, who may not be, Azeez Al-Shaair or Emmanuel Mosley, where they're locked into a starting role, but they're still having a positive outcome on games. And I think that the 49ers' ability to bring these guys in and then develop them and have them, make slight contributions early on, but then develop into these impact players is so valuable, because realistically, any team can go and sign players in free agency for the most part. Any team can cut a check to a player that's already proven. It takes a special organization and a special, front office, coaching staff, and locker room to take these guys who are undrafted and mold them into impact players, starting level players. I thought Azeez Al-Shaair played like a Pro Bowler last year, and he's an undrafted guy who's a converted safety playing linebacker. Like the vision that this team has is pretty impressive, and their ability to see that vision through is even more impressive in my eyes. So yeah, I'm all for the Kevin Gibbons hype train. Anybody who hasn't got a chance to watch Kevin Gibbons too closely because you're locked on Bosa or Fred Warner or one of these other stars they have on defense, watch out for number 90 because he is he's a guy that I think is going to surprise a lot of people this year and maybe take that leap we saw from a player like Azeez Al-Shaair, where fans are starting to hear the name 7-8 times over the course of a game, and you're starting to go, oh, you know what? Like, this guy's pretty good. This guy's kind of a baller low key. Like, I think he definitely will be. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I see some questions I'm going to get to. So if you guys do have any questions about anything, or not even necessarily a question, if you have an opinion on a player, if you have an opinion on something the Niners have done, throw it in the comments. I'll get to it. I'm trying to keep Saturdays as like a kind of low-key, laid-back stream. Like, dude, last Saturday we ended up talking about like favorite cereals and stuff, and like Rich came on at like midnight. So I want these to be kind of like the fun stream. I'm trying to keep the other ones a bit more organized and get better at doing that. But if you guys have anything you want to talk about, again, it doesn't have to be 49ers related. I don't know if Jamal's still in here, but hey, man, if you want to have a therapy session about your Lakers and, losing to the Pelicans, I'm here. We could talk it out. We could hash it out. It doesn't have to be strictly 49er stuff, just throwing it out there. This is supposed to be fun. So CJ saying, let's go Tar Heels. Congratulations to you, CJ. That must have been a phenomenal game to watch. As somebody who had no vested fan interest, didn't bet money on the game or anything, I was pretty amped up watching it, so I can only imagine how it felt for fans of the either of the two teams or anybody who had some action on the game tonight. So congratulations to you, 49ers and Tar Heels fan his whole life. I hope, the 49ers start picking up their slack for you too. We'll see how that goes. Adam asked, is the Hassan Ridgeway pickup being underrated? He looks great in some moments, big and explosive. I mean, yeah, I think so, because I think the way we look at this, right, is like Ridgeway is kind of just like a rotational piece at this point, right? Like he gets brought in. I think the expectation is that Javon Kinlaw is healthy and is going to be the starting nose tackle. I think it appears that Eric Armstead's kind of going to be in that starting 3-tech role more often. So for Ridgeway, I think he's going to be maximized even more because he will be in that rotational role where he's not going to be out there, 2-3 downs every series. Like he's going to be able to come in, be explosive. I think there were a few plays that I watched last year. Like there's one that really stood out to me, and it was against Atlanta where he long arms the starting guard. I think it was Jalen Mayfield for the Falcons, the starting left guard, and just had this explosive long arm on the shoulder, full extension. Guard couldn't get his hands on him, and he comes in and blows up the play and sacks Matt Ryan. And he had a few plays like that where he really did, show off the technique. But to me, with Hassan Ridgeway, what you're getting that I saw, I broke down like 3 games worth of game film. I think maybe 4, if I remember correctly. I didn't go through every snap he played, but I watched a few games of the coach's film. His motor is really good. And that's one thing that's really interesting when you think about it, because that's kind of where I point to when I talk about Kerry Hyder too, is that the motor is what really stands out about these guys. So when I watch Hassan Ridgeway, I'm watching a guy that's going from snap to whistle, and you don't see any drop-off in that period of time. There were a couple plays I can cite specifically. There was one against the Giants where Falcons. Daniel Jones gets out of the pocket and is scrambling, and Ridgeway comes from the far hash and is the one closing out Daniel Jones, who's a pretty good athlete. Like, for all, he fell, tripped on his own legs and fell a couple years ago. That's what people think of when they think of Daniel Jones running. But he got to I think he was running like 22 miles an hour on that play. Like he has good speed in the open field. And Hassan Ridgeway not only took the right angle, but ran him down and had the motor to not give up on that play. And he basically turned what would have been a 25, 30-yard run by Jones with nobody behind to help into a 4-yard, 5-yard game in front of the sticks. And then on the next play, they get a stop and the Giants end up punting. So it's little stuff like that where it's not a sack, it's not a huge tackle for loss in the backfield, but it's just the ability to continue that motor and not give up on a play. I saw that a ton from him, And, maybe that's what the 49ers are valuing with some of these, value signings and these guys signing for near the league minimum. Because Kerry Hyder, again, is the same way. And if you start getting these guys on the defensive line who have that just voracious energy and that ability to, consistently stay hungry and want to get after the other team's quarterback and get in the other team's backfield. And you have Chris Koceric, an absolute madman. And I mean that with like the utmost respect for how much energy and enthusiasm he brings. That's when you can start really getting results, and you're not relying as much on the like tangible pass rushing value and the tangible, ability to fit run gaps. Like you're getting guys that are playing above their skill level, which is already pretty good, but you're getting even more than that because they're feeding in, buying into the system. And that stuff's contagious too. When guys see Hassan Ridgeway running down a mobile quarterback on the other side, like that fires guys up. And there's an element of football that I think gets overlooked where there really is this kind of infectious energy that can get spread around when you get guys making plays like that. So yes, I do think that it's a signing that hasn't gotten that much attention. I think some of it is, I think he had like 3 sacks last year. So people look at that and they're like, oh, whatever, 3 sacks. Like, I don't really care. Sacks are like the worst number to ever evaluate pass rushing talent, dude. There are so many players who rack up a bunch of sacks who aren't great pass rushers, and there's a lot of players who don't get many at all and who are really good. So with Ridgeway, I don't think, again, that he's going to be this like transcendent talent, but I think he's a really good depth piece, and I think for what they paid for him, it's absolutely worth it. So I think that is it's a great point. So thank you for the question, Adam. Yeah, I think he's going to end up being a really good signing for them. Yeah. Jamal talked about how special teams is, a really important part of football. It's the third phase, and it's the forgotten phase. Look at Matthew Slater. Matthew Slater has been with the Patriots for what, like 10 years now, 8 years, and his role is literally as a special teamer. I can't recall. When's the last time you remember Matthew Slater making a catch in a regular season game or making a catch in a playoff game as a receiver? Doesn't happen. He still gets paid a few $1 million a year to be special teams ace for the Patriots, and year after year, they're very fundamentally sound, and they have really good special teams. And very rarely do you see the New England Patriots losing games because of their special teams. So yeah, that's a really good point. It's overlooked. I get it. It's boring. People don't want to talk about punt coverage units and kickoff coverage or punt returns unless they're running it back and housing kicks. But it's really important, and it's something that the 49ers, I don't think it cost them the game in LA, but it definitely cost them a couple games earlier this season. It could have been what kept the Packers from going to a Super Bowl too. If the Packers execute on special teams against the 49ers, they're hosting LA in Lambeau in freezing temperatures in the NFC Championship game. Maybe they win that game, and maybe they're in the Super Bowl. But because they couldn't execute, they have an MVP for a quarterback. They had the best receiver in football. They have a coach who's won 13 games in the last 3 seasons. And they couldn't beat the 49ers on their own home field because they couldn't execute on special teams. So as boring as it may be, it makes a difference in big games. So I think that's really important. Brandon thinks that Ayuk and Kinlaw are going to break out this year. I could definitely see that. It'd be really nice if they did, because then that first round in 2020 for the 49ers is looking pretty nice. I'm a big Kinlaw guy. I have been since they picked him up pretty much. I admittedly, with that pick, I wanted CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was like one of my favorite players in that whole draft. I thought they would go receiver. I have a good buddy. Shout out my friend Ryan Parrish. He's a Steelers fan, but he's a really bright football mind. And he told me for like a month leading up to that draft, pretty much the day after Buckner got traded, he's like, Javon Kinlaw, South Carolina, the 49ers are going to take him. Thank me later. Like, it's going to happen. So I did get a little bit of a head start getting to watch some of his stuff because of that. And he, to me, is just this. He's massive, right? Like 6'5", 335, really physically imposing human being. And what impressed me the most was that he was winning just off his brute like strength and his brute, like his raw physical talent was what was propelling his ability to produce at the level he did in the SEC. And I'm like, man, if this guy just, refines a couple things here, gets a little bit better with hand placement there, gets a little bit better at his get off, like basically just does what a lot of players do when they get to the NFL. They get better the more and more they're playing at the next level. I'm like, this guy can be a really special talent. And I've seen flashes when he was healthy the last couple of seasons that make me still believe he can be that player. And he's saying right now that he feels as good as he ever has. Kyle Shanahan saying he's looked as good as he ever has. So, hey, I expect him to come out and be an impact player this year. I'm not saying that I expect him to be first team All-Pro or to go make a Pro Bowl or have 15 sacks. but I do think he's going to be a guy whose name you're going to hear a lot this year, and you're going to hear a lot for good reason and for doing good things. So I'm really excited to see what happens. And with Brandon Ayuk's a baller. He's somebody that, as much as Deebo Samuel's an incredible talent too, I think some of what he did overshadowed how good Ayuk was during the backstretch, and how Ayuk had a couple of these games where he really was kind of the offense for them. And he kind of was driving the receiving game when teams poured resources into taking away Kittle and taking away Deebo Samuel. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think those are two really good names, and I think that that's a great call to see who breaks out, for the 49ers next season. Adam saying he'd be fine with just consistently average. Special teams last year was brutal. That's the goal, right? Hey, if the 49ers can get to somewhere between 14 and 22 when it comes to special teams, that to me is a net win. Don't be 31st. That's the problem. They were second to last season, and the only team that was worse than them lost a game to them on their home field in the playoffs. So it's kind of a situation where it's really hard to get worse, but if they get better and they get better at a level that's putting them in that middle of the pack area, you're going to see a noticeable difference in my eyes. So I'm totally there with you as well. Eric dropped a Kevin Gibbons highlight on his channel. Eric, I don't know if you're still in here, but if you want to post the link to the channel, or you want to post the channel name, I can put it back up here, because Eric does great stuff, and I definitely want to send as many people I can your way. Anybody that comes across this, I would hope they would take some time to check out yours as well. Yeah, Daniel Jones can move, dude. I'm telling you guys, Daniel Jones is in the open field. You don't want the smoke, man. This guy is he's a very underrated athlete. I think a lot of times these guys, when they're goofy and they don't really Daniel Jones doesn't have that much swag, dude. He doesn't have that much drip. He doesn't have that much energy. He's just not a guy to me that comes across like that. And I feel because of that, people overlook how good of an athlete he actually is. But he's he's really good. I remember that game, 2019, I think it was, against Tampa, where he's scrambling all over the place, making plays with his legs left and right. And I'm dude, this guy can move. I remember watching some stuff of him at Duke coming out, but ACC speed against some of these lower tiered ACC teams versus the NFL. I'm oh, that's not going to show up there. No, he can move. So yeah, I'm with you, Jamal. He definitely can, and it's pretty impressive when he does. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see Kosarek work with these guys. Man, hey, I'll tell you what, I've said it a couple times on the channel. One of my favorite moments of the Combine was talking to John Randall. John Randall, as you guys know, Hall of Fame defensive lineman. And he talked about Chris Kosarek for 5 minutes, dude. And it was all just the ultimate praise. And I didn't coax it out of him. It's not I was hey, John, talk to me about Chris Kosarek. I asked him about Nick Bosa, and that segued into him talking about Chris Kosarek for 5 minutes and how much respect and admiration he had for Kosarek and all the results he got. And I thought, coming from one of the better pass rushers of all time, that was some pretty serious praise. And it was pretty cool to see how much respect he had for Chris Kosarek. So I at this point, we could pick a random member of the chat, a random subscriber from my channel, and add them to the 49ers defensive line. And part of me will believe that Chris Kosarek will turn them into a double-digit sack producer and somebody who's going to be in a Pro Bowl conversation, because he's been that good doing it. He has so much equity for me personally that if you give him any reclamation project, any athletic guy coming out, anybody on a cheap 1-year deal who has physical tools, my mind's just immediately going to jump to, all right, well, Chris Kosarek's going to work magic and turn this guy into an 8-9 sack player, a 40-50 pressure guy. He has tremendous equity with me. So yeah, I definitely agree. I'm there as well. Eric saying Jordan Willis is another guy who can take a leap. I looked up his combine numbers. He has the tools. Kosarek can coast up. Yeah, he does. He has really nice bend too. He's really athletic, and he has really good bend as well. If you're talking about getting around the edges, any of that stuff, he's somebody who has the physical ability, but it felt never really put together the full package. And I see him being really well fit for that role that he's kind of in now, where he is this, rotational guy, but he's a rotational guy having a big impact on the game, right? Even through special teams, he blocks 2 kicks in Green Bay, and he's the difference between them winning and getting booted in the divisional round. But the week before in Dallas, he also had a couple big pressures that didn't register as sacks, so they get forgotten in the box score. They forgotten in the grand scheme of things. But Jordan Willis had a couple pressures, and I believe he had the pressure that led to the interception that Dak threw to K'Wan Williams. I apologize if it was a Menahue. It was one of the two, but I'm pretty sure it was Jordan Willis who drove back the opposing offensive lineman basically into Dak Prescott's lap as he's letting go of that ball, trying to throw that quick out. And it ends up getting intercepted by K'Wan Williams. And the 49ers score on the very next play when Deebo Samuel just goes, to a totally different level and tells Kyle Shanahan, get me the ball, I'm going to score. They give him the ball in the first play, and he runs in for 20-something yards, 26 yards, whatever it was. So I'm with you. Jordan Willis is a guy who is really good, and I think that he's somebody that can make a big impact too. For 1 second. So yeah, I think that he's another guy to watch for sure. Tony, the Madden champion of 49ers Twitter, if you guys didn't know, this guy is the Madden GOAT. Too humble to say so himself, but I will say it. He says, if Nick Benito was there at 61, Cassera could be the only dude I trust to get every inch out of him. Dude is a literal fireball, super raw, but unreal talent. I personally am not like super, big on Nick Benito. I think that there are other guys that I would take that should still be on the board if Benito's there. I know a lot of people do like him. I'm just personally not there. And if they take an edge guy at 61, even though I do think Aaron Banks will be a good player, I'm never going to get over the fact that they should have taken Azeez Ojulari, and they passed on Azeez Ojulari twice last year, 2 times in like a span of like 20 minutes. And I'll try and find the video, maybe cut it. I'll post it on my Twitter or something like that. But I was doing a live show with Brad Graham of the SF Niners during that second round of the draft. We did like 5 hours of draft content, and I literally looked like I had like joy stolen, like right out of like just like all the joy just taken away from me. Like I sat there and I was so like beside myself because they had Morig. They traded out of the spot with the Raiders. Could have taken Ojulari. They could have taken Trayvon Morig. I love both those guys. The Raiders take Morig, and I'm like, okay, whatever. The Niners have good safeties. I guess they don't need it right now. It makes sense. And they move back. I'm like, okay, they're going to move back. They're still going to get Ojulari, or they're going to get Rondale Moore maybe. Like all these guys that my favorite players in that draft were all available and all right there. And the 49ers take this guard from Notre Dame that I didn't watch at all because I'm not expecting them to take I'm not expecting them to take a guard that looked like he was better suited for a heavy gap scheme rather than the outside zone stuff. The Niners run the majority of the time, even though they are doing some gap and power stuff like that. So yeah, it was tough. So if they take Nick Benito this year after passing on Azeez Ojulari last year, I'm going to be a little bit confused with the logic there. And again, hey, I think Aaron Banks is going to end up being a pretty solid player, but it's hard to justify, and I don't think Nick Benito is as good of a player as Azeez Ojulari was. So we'll see. My first mock, I had Pascal. I like Josh Pascal out of Kentucky. I think that he's a guy who has that like raw physical ability, and I think ideally you get a 9-tech speed rusher, a guy with bend, quickness off the edge, good get off, but it's hard to find those guys who are also 3-down linemen. And I think that finding those guys it's much easier said than done. So, Tony's saying that he thinks 10 edge rushers might be off the board at 61, and there won't be a lot of guys they want. At that case, don't take the edge guy at 61 though. Take offensive lineman, take a safety, take a corner. Like I don't think you need to like push for like the edge depth is fine right now. Like as is, it's okay. So I don't think they need to like force themselves. Like it's not like the 49ers are sitting here where it's like, oh my God, if they don't take an edge guy at 61, like the season's over. What are they doing? They just ruined this whole draft. Like not even close to that. Like if there's a guy there they like, yeah, absolutely go for it. But I don't think it's a situation where you have to like reach. And I personally, depending on how the board falls out, obviously I can't predict the future, but I would be shocked if the board played out in a way where Nick Benito is the most appealing option left for them, given how deep the corner class is, how deep the safety class is. I'd take Nick Cross at 61 before I took Nick Benito. If we're talking, guys named Nick, I would be taking Nick Cross before I take Nick Benito, even if the spelling's different. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Again, so we're about 35 minutes in. I don't know if you guys have any other like draft opinions or questions or anything. I'm going to get to another one from Adam here in a second. Again, this one was just meant to be kind of a laid back, fun stream. I apologize for not having it more structured with topics and stuff, but I just, I got caught up watching that Duke UNC game, and the Warriors mounting a furious comeback too. So basketball kind of consumed my evening, but I wanted to get something out there, and something out stream. So last week it was kind of fun. It was the same thing where I thought it would be like 20 minutes, and we went going for 5 hours talking about a bunch of random stuff. So feel free to, throw opinions, questions, anything out there, and I'll throw them up, and we'll talk about it. Brandon's asking if the 49ers can hit on 2 or 3 of the draft picks this year. Do you think this team can take the next leap as a team and win the division? Honestly, Brandon, I think they can do it as is. If they do hit on a couple of those picks, then yes, absolutely. Like, let's say they take a safety at 61 or 93, and that player is slated to start next to Jimmy Ward. If that player pans out, yeah, you bet. I absolutely believe they can take that leap. Truthfully, I don't think it's as much dependent on the draft as much as it's just dependent on how Trey Lance ends up playing. Because I think that at the end of the day, the 49ers, if they were a bit more consistent, if they had a little bit better special teams, if they had a little bit more discipline throughout the majority of the middle portion of the season and the earlier parts of the year, they could have won the division last year. The margin of victory in the NFL is small, no matter what, generally. But the 49ers really did it. Like, the difference between them winning 10 games and them winning 13 games was much smaller than I think people realize. And the difference between them winning 10 games and winning, 8 games was pretty small too. So if a couple things bounce their way this year, if they're a little bit more disciplined, they limit the self-inflicted penalties and the self-inflicted wounds, then yeah, I think they could. And I think that, having the draft picks helps. They are talented enough as is right now to win the division, in my eyes. I think that they're capable of doing it. I'm not outright picking them to do it at this point because there's too much season to be had, and another team might have a really good draft that I really like. The Niners might have a great draft I like. They might have a draft that I think is terrible, but I think in this moment, it's not inconceivable to think that they could win the division with the team they have currently constructed. And then the draft picks that they hit on or miss, whoever they're bringing in the building, it's just a bonus at that point that you can factor in. So, yeah, I think that they definitely can win the division this year. Adam's asking, is Ebukam going to live up to his contract? Does it get reworked? He looked good late in the season last year. He had a sack in 7 of the last 8 games. He had a couple big-time sacks in the playoffs. He had some big sacks in those games that they needed sacks and they needed pass rushing production when they were basically in playoff mode before the playoffs actually officially started. My thing with Ebukam is that he's playing a position that he did not play at the NFL level before he arrived in San Francisco. He was in a 3-4 scheme. He was mainly standing up, rushing the passer as a stand-up outside linebacker, playing base downs as a stand-up outside linebacker, and the 49ers converted him to a guy who was going to stick his hand in the dirt and rush off the edge as a 4-3 base in the 5-tech. And I think that that's a very tough adjustment, no matter how athletic you are. And I think that's what the 49ers looked at, was they saw a player in Ebukam who had all these great physical abilities. And in my eyes, their rationalization was, hey, he was pretty good for the Rams in this 3-4 stand-up outside backer role. We think we can take these traits and turn him into a really good player. We just need to get, the time to acclimate and get him time to adjust. And as we saw, the more and more reps he got and the more comfortable he got in that role, the athleticism kind of took over. So, yes, I think he will. If I'm him, I'm not really eager to, restructure my contract. And if I'm the 49ers, I'm not really, super eager to do it at a number that's going to make him want to do it right now. I believe his cap hits around $8 million next year. Maybe they can add void years or do some creative thing or extend him for an extra season on an option or something like that. But to me, it makes more sense. Like, he plays it out at that number and he might end up getting more. And then the 49ers are in a position where if he ends up getting more, you're happy paying him because he had back-to-back pretty good seasons. Or if he, just for whatever reason can't put it together this year, or he doesn't have the same consistency he had, then the 49ers aren't stuck paying him. So I think he's a player that they wouldn't really be eager to restructure at this point in time. I think that's why you're seeing it happen with the Kittles, the Warners, the Armsteads, the Wards, because those are the guys that will be around and aren't going anywhere. And the 49ers know what they have in them. Even though I'm sure they really like Ebukam, I think he was good, and especially when you consider the adjustment he had to make. it doesn't make sense to me to go ahead and pay him as of now and like pay him for, just the sake of spreading out his cap hit. Or if I'm him, I'm not going to take a team friendly deal just for, I'm banking on myself and betting on, hey, I got 7 sacks in the last 8 games. The more comfortable I got doing this, the better I got. Who's to say I can't go out and have 12 or 13 in a 17 game season? So I think it'll be a good thing for both sides. I would expect the number to stay as is, to be honest. I agree with Jamal. I'm not super high on Jalen Petrie. The 2 safeties that I like the most, who I think the 49ers have a realistic shot at getting, are Nick Cross and Leon O'Neal. I really like Jaquan Brisker, too, out of Penn State. I just don't think there's any chance the Niners will get him unless they make this, like, massive trade up. That is kind of a bummer in this draft, is as deep as it is. There are a lot of really, really good players that are kind of in that late first, early second round. So I agree, Jamal. I'm with you 100% on that. No disrespect to Jalen Petrie. I don't think he's a bad player. I'm just not I'm not as enamored with him as a lot of the takes I've seen. But hey, that's what's fun about this. We all have different opinions. Excuse me. We all value players differently. We all have different, reasons why we like guys or might not like them. And it makes the discussion fun. I don't think anybody's really wrong at this point. It's kind of impossible to tell anybody that they're wrong because these guys haven't stepped on an NFL field yet. So we don't know what they'll look like at the next level. JR saying thoughts on BPA versus need for the 49ers. So for those of you who don't know, I love talking about draft stuff, and my philosophy will always be best player available. To me, you get the most talented players you can on a football team, even if you're already loaded at that position, even if you already have a superstar or a stud. The only exception is kind of like, hey, if you have a franchise quarterback and you're picking top 5 overall, I don't think you should just go out and draft another quarterback for the sake of doing that. But when we're talking about let's say there's a moderately good safety left on the board and a really, really good edge rusher. I'm taking the really, really good edge rusher and loading up at a position I probably have better depth than I do at safety, and I'm figuring out safety later because I think when you factor in injuries, roster turnover, all the unpredictable variables that happen in the NFL, it's never a problem to have too much talent. Like the biggest thing you're worried about is like, hey, I can't pay everybody at a certain point. We're going to have to figure this out. And I'd much rather take my chances with that being my biggest issue than passing on players I like or getting cute, trading up and down. Because what happens a lot of times is teams will trade down with a certain player in mind and they trade back, and then somebody else a few picks ahead of them takes them. So they've traded back. Sure, they may have picked up a couple extra draft picks and whatnot, but then they're left kind of just reaching for a need or reaching for a player at a position they might need rather than taking the guy who is highest on their board. So for me, always go best player available. No matter what, you take the guy that's the highest on your board. The only exception really, again, is like quarterbacks. Like, hey, if Jacksonville already had, top 5 quarterback, am I drafting Trevor Lawrence? Like, probably not. I'm probably moving that pick to a team that really needs a quarterback and getting back draft capital. But in a general sense, I'm taking the best player who's left on the board, regardless of who I already have on my roster. Eric's asking, how do I think the Jimmy Saga will play out? I don't really know at this point, dude. I thought that they would get something for him. The shoulder surgery made things more complicated, but I still thought that they would get something for him. I thought they would manage to get back something in return. So at this point, I don't want to sound stubborn. I still think there's a chance once he gets that shoulder healed that they can still get something in return for him. But I'm not counting on it. And I also, again, acknowledge that I was completely off base in thinking that they would get something for him, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, or have a deal agreed to in place, some of that stuff. I think they'll get something still. So I think he'll end up getting traded whenever he can pass a physical, pretty much, is what I would say. Or he's going to get cut. I don't see a scenario where Jimmy's back on this team. It makes no sense to me for him to take a pay cut. It makes no sense for the 49ers to keep him at a, number that he would probably be comfortable with taking. So I think it's just a matter of the shoulder healing up, and hearing out offers once we get to training camp, and maybe a couple guys that are, teams counted on to be starters are in camp and they're throwing picks every day and they don't look good. And it's like, hey, you know what? That Jimmy Garoppolo sounds a little bit more enticing now. His shoulder's healed and he's an upgrade over what we have here. Maybe we should call the 49ers. Like, I think a scenario like that is much more likely than them having like some weird QB competition, and then you have Jimmy on the roster at an extremely high cap number to hold a clipboard behind Trey Lance, or even worse in my eyes from an optics standpoint, is you have Jimmy beat out the guy you moved mountains to trade up to replace him with, and then you have him on the bench again for a year. So I just think the 49ers are smart enough to not subject themselves to that like circus that would come with that. So I think he'll either be traded or he'll be cut whenever his shoulder heals. Is pretty much my prediction. Let's see what else we have. I mean, I'm all for getting picks next year. I think that's a really good idea if you can. Like, hey, if team wants to move up and they're offering you like a third round pick next year or fourth round pick next year, I'd be all for that. I think that they're going to need as many picks as they can this year and next year. They have 9 this year already, so I don't think they're hurting for it, in the same way that they might be a season from now. And I think just having as many picks as possible when you know you're not going to have a first round pick is just good business. It's a good strategy to have. It's just the more picks you have, the more options you have, the more darts you get to throw at a dartboard, the more likely you are to hit a bullseye, right? Like it's the same thing when you're drafting. The more ammunition you have, the better your chances are of hitting on a better player. And I think spreading those picks out this year and next year is my apologies. I do not know what happened. My computer always kicks me off of this, so I apologize. Um, Logan Hall is a D lineman. He's versatile enough to line up inside and outside. I haven't seen too much of him, to be honest. I know everybody loves Marcus Jones, so I have some Houston game tape that I have to like go through more extensively. I've seen a little bit. From what I've seen, he looks like a good player. I just can't give like an educated opinion because I haven't watched enough to say either way if I think that he's going to be really good or if I'm not seeing it. So my apologies, Jamal. I haven't gotten around to watching enough of him yet. But I as soon as I do, I'll let you know. I just have to grind through this Houston tape because everybody like it's so funny to me. All these 49ers fans all of a sudden want like Christian Watson and Marcus Jones are like the two names that I see thrown around the most, and it's just kind of like when did this happen? Did I miss the memo? Someone forgot to tell me. I didn't get the email or the text or whatever that Marcus Jones and Christian Watson were the only two teams we would talk about. Only two prospects we would talk about on this team. Jamal says he needs to improve his base, but his raw physical ability is something I can see Kosaric working with. Who is the guy the Eagles drafted last year? I want to say Milton was his last name. The dude out of Louisiana Tech. God, I feel stupid for blanking on his name, but that guy from Louisiana Tech who went to the Eagles is a guy who I really liked as a developmental kind of interior pass rusher who could be a really good option in a rotation going forward and maybe a potential starter. So if you see Hall in like that light, like that's interesting because that's again something that I think is invaluable. If you can have guys that can pressure up the interior and you can get guys that can wreak havoc from the inside, it's something you can never have enough of on a team. So I feel, God, dude, it's really annoying me that I can't remember his name. I wanted to say Milton was his last name, but this is not my greatest showing. I'm having a tough time remembering even some of these simple names right now. It's been a very long day. So if that's the role you're looking at, Jamal, then yeah, I agree. I think it would be really good to see the 49ers kind of invest into getting these guys on the interior that are these athletic guys that can play 3-tech, disrupt a game from the inside. So I'm there for sure with that. BSC says if they take an edge, I want it to be somebody with some serious bursts. Yeah, I agree. That's where it's interesting. Like Sanders is a name I know got thrown around a bunch. There's other guys that are well out of the 49ers range. Like you see a guy like Jermaine Johnson and it's like, oh man, he'd be so great on this defense, but there's little to no chance the 49ers will be able to draft a player like that unless, some team was willing to trade back from somewhere in the second if they slide for like the Niners second and third round picks. Like it's gonna be hard to move up that many spots unless you give up a lot. So I would agree with you. I think that getting somebody with some serious burst would do wonders for them. It's just a matter like, is that player going to be there? Because again, I'm not going to just like overreach on a speed guy if I'm not sold that they're the total package just because they do have that explosiveness. But we have seen if you do get somebody with that explosiveness, what it looks like across from Nick Bosa. And, hey, D Ford was a really good player. He's a first-round pick. It's not like you can just find D Ford sitting in the second and third rounds of every draft. But if you can find a guy that can affect the game that has a similar physical tool set and a similar get off the line of scrimmage the way D Ford does, then yeah, I think absolutely they should go for it. So I'm definitely there. Jamal's, Nick Cross, and Jaquan Briskerhive. both phenomenal players. I think they'd be great. I think Brisker's going to be gone before the Niners can get him, unfortunately. I think Nick Cross might be gone before the Niners can get him, too. I think he's somebody that, like, scouts and teams like way more than, like, media does. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's see. Yeah, I think that was the name, Milton Williams, I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the name was Milton. I know for a fact the name was Milton something. So he looked really good, and I thought that he's somebody that can develop into a nice piece. So that was the name. If you can find a player like that, I definitely think so. Wallow, what's up, dude? What's going on? I talked about Hargrave a little bit earlier. To me, it's just two things, motor and potential. I think he has a high motor, and he has potential to be really good in a rotational role for the 49ers. So if they can tap into that physical ability and get the most out of him, I think it'll be a great pickup. But we'll see. You know, that's easier said than done. But I think for the cost, he signed for a little over the vet minimum. Like that, you're really not taking a huge risk with that. So I think that is definitely, a signing you're maybe not jumping for joy over, but he can end up being a really impact player. Again, think back to last season. If you're being honest with yourself, how many people really sat there when the 49ers signed Arden Key and you were like, oh my God, like this, I've been waiting for this sign. Like this is the one. I saw it. Hey, I'm on Twitter like every day, man. I saw the reactions. A lot of it was kind of, mocking them, saying they don't do enough. Why can't they be like the Rams or this other team spending all this money? And Arden Key ended up being one of the better contracts in the entire league when you consider his impact and the fact that he was making pretty much the veteran minimum last season. So I'm not saying that it's going to be the same level of impact, but it has the ability to make an impact in a similar fashion where, again, the signing kind of flies under the radar and this player then steps in and this is a solid piece of this rotation for the 49ers interior defensive line. I think that they'll keep the cap space. It does roll over if they end up not using it. It gives them flexibility. They do like to maintain a little bit of flexibility to do mid-season stuff. But that's like a percentage of what Jimmy's cap hit is. Usually it's, a few million they want to play with. Jimmy's cap hit's 25.5, if I recall correctly. I would expect them to do kind of all the above. Roll over some. Maybe they do front load Bosa or Debo's deals, which actually wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It might help you out a little bit if you can take 7-8 million off each of those deals in the early years and front load that average annual value. So I think it's going to be a little bit of all the above for that one for sure. I plan on it, dude. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a long day. It was so funny. I went to go help my dad earlier at his house, like move boxes, right? And I helped him move out a bunch of these boxes that had been sitting in a shed in the backyard for like years. And a bunch of them were, it was like my old stuff from like high school. And I'm like 26. So this is like 10 years old. I hadn't touched a lot of this stuff in a long time. And I'm going through some of these boxes that, I'm taking to, Goodwill, Salvation Army, to donate. I'm not going to wear these clothes anymore. I want to be able to give them to somebody who will. And I'm going through it and I'm finding those shirts, for those of you who remember that they used to sell on like the street outside Candlestick. They'd have that big setup at the intersection where the business park and those apartments were right outside Candlestick. And they'd lay out all the hats and shirts and stuff. So I found a Who's Got It Better Than Us shirt. I found like a Monday Night Football shirt from like 2009. It said like Monster Park on the front. I found like Giants 2010 like NL West shirt. So it was really funny. So I spent a lot of the day moving all these boxes. So that's why I'm really like tired and I'm probably not in my, I'm not operating at the highest level right now, but I thought it was really funny that I found a bunch of this really cool, like old Niners stuff that I had from way back when. And I swear, anytime I find anything from like the Jim Harbaugh era of the 49ers, it makes me smile like internally. I get this like nice little nostalgia trip and it makes me really happy because that was the first like sustained success that I ever experienced as a football fan. Like, yeah, when I was really little, the Niners still had Steve Young, and then a couple years with Garcia, they were a good team. But it was the first time that I ever got to watch the 49ers when they were like a team to be reckoned with, and they were, they were the ones out bullying other teams. So whenever I see stuff from that, it always brings back happy memories because even though they didn't get over the hill and win the Lombardi, that will always be a period of time that I cherish personally. So enough about my own, finding my own trip down memory lane early. But that's why I'm yawning and I'm so tired because I was out, it was super hot. Those of you in the Bay Area know it was a hot day. I'm outside moving boxes all day and stuff. So spent most of my energy doing that. Spent the rest of it watching college basketball, so I'm trying to push through this, get through this. So I apologize if I'm yawning or I look super tired, but that is why, just so you guys know. Let's see. Yes, I do believe it was Milton Williams. Jamal says Hargrave is going to have an awesome season. John saying, how many picks do you suppose the Niners? Are you asking how many they have, John? Or because they have 9 right now. I don't know if that was the question. If it wasn't, please send it again so I make sure I answer it the right way. I'm not sure who you're talking about specifically, BSE. I would love to hear who you're mentioning, though. Again, I'm not on top of the prospects as much as I normally am this year, so I'm not quite sure who's being mentioned. Yeah, I'd be shocked if he was there. But again, hey, if he's a guy who's there at like 45 and the Niners really like him, hey, dude, trade 61 and your pick at 105 and make it happen. Like, give up your second and your compensatory third. Maybe a team's willing to drop back that many slots for a third-round pick. Maybe even you give up 61 and 93 to move up to make it happen. You still have your pick at 105. Yeah, that'd probably be a bit of an overpay. But if you identify an edge player that you really like that's still there in the mid-40s, early 50s, take them. You have all these picks to play around with on the back end. You can trade back up later. You can find ways to move around. Don't mess around. Don't miss the opportunity to get a player like Ebiketie. I'm completely there with you. I think he's a really good player. I thought both of their players were really good. Lucada was good too. It's why, if you know, I was giving Javier Vega, for those of you who know, a hard time because he's a Penn State fan. They had Lucada, they had Ebiketie, they had Brisker, they had Jahan Dotson. I'm like, how the hell are you guys not winning football games? Like, you have all of these guys who are going to not only be in the NFL, but are going to be like good NFL players most likely. And you guys are like struggling in the Big Ten. It like made no sense to me. So apologize if anybody's a Penn State fan, but I'm like trying to wrap my head around how they're not able to win more games like that. So I thought it was funny. Oh, you're talking about Hargrave on the Eagles. My bad. Oh, okay, yeah. Hargrave. He had a really good year on the interior. My bad, dude. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I operating on like no sleep, dude. So I'm over here slipping. My apologies. He's a good player. Dude, the Eagles just crank out really good interior rushers. Like Fletcher Cox is still one of the better players in the league. He's been one of the more underrated players for the last 6-7 years, in my opinion. Their whole defensive front is nasty. Like, we talk a lot about the Niners' defensive front. Theirs is really good too. So my apologies, Lalo. I thought you were talking about Ridgeway for some reason when I first saw the comment. So my apologies on that one. Yes, it was, dude. The Harbaugh era was so fun, man. And I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's just because, like, you know, I grew up going to games at Candlestick, right? Like, Candlestick for me was where I spent a lot of my Sundays. You know, I hang out, tailgate, going to the games, going up the escalators, watching for a lot of years a not very good football team, and watching the way that those same people that I saw there when they were awful get to experience like the joy of them winning when they were good again. Like, it was so fun, because that's the funniest thing to me is that, like, people make jokes about like Levi's and like the fans not showing up or being fair weather. Dude, I remember Candlestick sitting in that lower bowl and seeing the same people to my left and right when they were a 2-14 team under Dennis Erickson as who were there 7-8 years later when Jim Harbaugh was there, and seeing those same people show up week in and week out, seeing the same tailgates, the same barbecue setup. Like, it had a different feel to it, man. And I'm not going to lie. Like, I understand why the 49ers moved and why they built a new stadium and how much money. It's a business at the end of the day. I understand why they did all that. But Candlestick was so special, man. It was just it had an aura to it. And anybody who went there knew. Like, anybody who went there, especially like you guys, there's plenty of you probably watching who were there when they were much better, when they were rattling off Super Bowls and they had the dynasty years. I feel so bad whenever I talk to 49ers fans who aren't from the Bay Area or who didn't, you know, get the access to go to Candlestick. You know, it's not easy to fly across the country and go watch a game on a Sunday, whereas I'm driving, you know, up the peninsula 20 minutes. I feel so bad for the people that didn't get to experience it, and I empathize so greatly, because as cool as Levi's can be, and as much as like the fan base, I don't want to sound corny, but like the fan base, it's kind of like home is where you make it. The fan base will always travel. Candlestick was so special, dude. You got there on a foggy day with like the cold fog rolling in, that like damp air. You like just know it's going to be like a hard hitting, gritty game. Like, it was magical, man. So I'm with you, John. Every time I think about the Harbaugh era, I think back back to that stadium. Even watching Terrell Owens and like, dude, even watching Ken Dorsey and like Tim Rattay or like watching Sean Hill, like it was really special. So I'll stop my Harbaugh rant, but I really I agree completely. I'm with you 100%. So there's a couple questions. BSC says he doesn't think they'll use all 9. JR's asking if I think the 49ers move around the board on draft day. I think John is asking something similar. I would say they're probably going to make 6 picks. I think that they'll move around with a couple, and I think that they might package like something for a future. Like they might trade like one of their, 6th round picks this year for a pick next year or something like that. Or they might do something where they make a draft day trade for a veteran who's already in place. I don't see any like logical reason to use all 9 picks, to be honest with you. There's no chance 9 rookies are making the roster. It'd be hard for 4 of them to make the roster. So I just don't see the value in really doing that personally. I would say they probably make 6. Yes, Jamal, I'm realizing that. I don't know why I thought he was talking about Ridgeway for some reason, but Hargrave was really good. Hargrave had a just outstanding season. Again, this isn't my my finest hour. I'm a little bit tired right now, trying to power through this, so my apologies for that. Bryant, what's going on, dude? How much longer do I believe in Robbie Gould? So this is really interesting. I'm not going to lie. I like to be transparent, and I have no problem admitting when I get things wrong, right? So when Robbie Gould got hurt at the end of 2020 and Tristan Vizcaino came in and drilled a couple deep kicks in Arizona, I got to watch Vizcaino a bit at Washington because I'm a Pac-12 guy. I'm a Cal fan, unfortunately. So I got to watch him a bit. I knew he had a good leg. I'm like, hey, just keep him. Like this guy his range is a little bit better. He's younger. He's cheaper. It's time to start planning for the future. I have a hard time doubting Robbie Gould in the slightest, the way he kicked those, the way he's been kicking in the playoffs and the way that he's literally automatic and does not miss. He's I think 21 for 21 in the playoffs in his career. He doesn't miss in the snow in Green Bay and the dome in Dallas, watching him kick field goal. He's kicking lasers through the other teams, pregame introductions and the cheerleaders in Dallas. The guy's a cold-blooded assassin, and I overlooked it. So I believe in Robbie Gould until either he hangs it up or the 49ers don't want him anymore. As long as they keep him on the team, I have to believe in him, because as frustrating as it can be that, yeah, maybe the range isn't as good as some other kickers and some other stuff like that. Maybe he's not putting the ball in the back of the end zone on kickoffs, when Wisnowski's not kicking off. If you're going to get a guy that's going to be money in big spots like that, and you have a playoff caliber roster, none of the other stuff matters to me. Robbie, whatever, pay him whatever he wants, let him hold out, let him do whatever. He's earned that right if he's going to be perfect in the playoffs, which he has been, because I think that's such an underrated ability to boast on a roster as a kicker that won't miss in big spots and has ice water in their veins. So, Brian, to answer your question, I believe in Robbie Gould as long as Robbie Gould is still wearing a 49ers helmet, because I don't think that he or the team will keep him around for very long if he doesn't have that ability anymore. He says James Franklin is a terrible coach. We're talking about Penn State. I think he's a great recruiter, but I think you can make the argument he isn't a very good coach too, with certain game management things. But I think he can recruit. I'll give him that. He has a really impressive recruiting class. It feels like year after year. So that's one of the places on my bucket list too. Again, I'm a Cal fan. I'm from the Bay Area. College football is not really a huge deal here, so I really want to go see the whiteout game at Penn State. I want to see Death Valley at LSU. I want to be able to go experience the big house and all these big college atmospheres. So it's wild to me that you have the selling point of having 110,000 screaming fans and this, rich, history dating back, decades of success with some teams like that. Michigan's the same way. And it's dude, how can you guys not get a quarterback? How year after year, you have these great teams and you're being held back because you can't get a quarterback. So I'm thinking the same thing with Jim Harbaugh. I'd love to see what Michigan would look like with an actual, breathing quarterback that's semi-decent. We'll see if that ever happens. But, yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's see. Yeah, last week, dude. So that Eagles game, if you guys don't know, oh, my God, dude, I was going into this game breaking this down, right? This is early in the season. So I'll admit, I didn't think the Eagles would make the playoffs at all. I did not think there was any chance that the Eagles were a playoff team. I thought that they were going to be a team that was going to be one of the 5-6 worst teams in the league. So going into the game, I put out a tweet where I was pretty much like the 49ers are a top 10 roster in the NFL and the Eagles are bottom 10, or maybe it was bottom 5. I forget what it was. I basically said the 49ers were a good team. The Eagles weren't. Don't overthink it. This is pretty simple. Dude, I had like half the city of Philadelphia come for me in my mentions and tell me how dumb and stupid I was, and a lot of other insults that are a little inappropriate that I won't say on stream here. But the moral of the story is I had a large chunk of the Eagles fan base that's active on Twitter quote tweeting me, replying me, subbing me, all these things. So during that game, when they were struggling to move the ball and they couldn't do anything, and the Eagles are throwing these, darts downfield, and Quez Watkins is going 97 yards up the field or 94 yards, whatever his reception was, before Tart saved him or saved the Niners and tackled him. I was getting blown up, dude. My DMs, my mentions during that game, I'm not going to lie, because I don't I watch games, I take notes, and I go to write articles. I don't sit there like sweating out 49ers games ever, but I was sweating this game out because I'm like, oh my God, dude, I am going to get destroyed. And I'm not one to like log off of Twitter or just like not take it. Like I would have sat there and I would have taken all of the pushback, but I'm like, oh my God, dude, these Eagles fans are going to destroy me. Like I'm like, this team's not good. The Niners are good. And here they are, and they can't move the ball. They can't run the football. They can't convert third downs. They're getting beat over the top on offense. I was sitting there, and I have not been so like, I don't say like nervous, but I was just like tight watching that game, dude. I'm like, oh my God, this can't be going this way. Like there's no, like logic is this is defying all logic and everything. Like this Eagles team is not that good. And I admit, hey, man, I was wrong. They were much better than I gave them credit for, right? And I came out and said that. I didn't go on this, like, victory lap where I'm like, oh, see, you guys lost. But, like, for the first, like, 35 minutes of that game, I was like pacing in my apartment and, like, dude, it was not good. So it's funny you mentioned that game, Lala, because I remember that the first thing I thought of was, dude, I was beside myself watching that game. So yeah, when I think of that Eagles game, that's the first thing that I think of. Yeah, because he's saying Josh was why you draft 5-star underachievers in the middle rounds. Yeah, I think that's fair too. Hey, you can bank on a lot of these guys who are just really athletically gifted players who may have underachieved, may have had some circumstance. Maybe they just get backlogged on a really good team. A lot of these guys end up going to big time schools and they get backlogged. Like I hate this logic that like just because a player didn't start over a certain other player means that they're not good enough. Like, I don't think that Dwayne Haskins is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow, but I also understand why Dwayne Haskins was starting at Ohio State when both of them were still there. Same thing with Justin Fields and, Justin Fields and Jake Fromm. Like, their same thing can apply to edge guys and linebackers and corners, where you get some of these guys who are highly touted recruits who maybe don't take the big leap forward they should in college, or they get backlogged on a depth chart or something like that happens. So I agree. I think that's a really good strategy. Hey, if you could find a guy who has those athletic traits who maybe just didn't meet expectations, but they're available on day 3, day 4, draft them, bring them in your building, bet on your own culture, bet on your own development. And I think that that's a really, really strong strategy. Let's see. Yeah, Gold is that's the other thing too, is I think he's somebody they rally around, and I think that this is one of the coldest things I've ever seen. Right, Robbie Gould kicks that field goal in Green Bay. He walked off the field before the ball went anywhere near the uprights. He connected with his foot, and he immediately like turned to the sideline and started celebrating, immediately. Didn't even watch the ball go through the uprights. He knew that he drilled that ball through the uprights. And in those conditions, in that moment, to do that to me, like that was just pure cold-hearted, just assassin. And I think that guys really do respond to that. And we saw the whole clip with Jimmy where Jimmy's, screw the Packers or F the Packers, whatever it was he said to Robbie Gould when they're running off the field. Like, these guys rally around him. He may be, a kicker, he may be up there in age, but he's an important piece of the team. So don't let Jason Aponte fool you guys. I love Jason to death. His channel is fantastic. I imagine if you're subbed to mine, you're already watching his. Don't buy into his kicker propaganda, okay? Robbie Gould owns Jason and has been owning him for months now. So it hurts me. He's my guy. I don't want to see him out here losing, but I feel like Jason's warped too many people's minds into like hating Robbie Gould when Robbie Gould is in fact like a very key part of this team. And unfortunately, like, he's been cooking my guy lately. Like, if we're being completely honest, like if we're going to the scoreboard, Jason's losing to Robbie Gould, and I hate to put it that way because I root for Jason all the time, but in this instance, like I have to keep it a buck, dude. Robbie Gould owns that, man. So don't let Jason warp your opinion on Robbie Gould too much. I know Wojnarowski, that's another discussion. We can have that another day. But Robbie Gould owns Jason Aponte. If I want you to take anything away from this stream, that's what I want you guys to go away with tonight. Remember that Robbie Gould owns Jason Aponte. That's the theme of tonight's stream. So we will move on to something else because I don't want him getting cooked too bad. Brian, thank you for watching, Brian. I appreciate it. If you have any other questions, I'd love to get them too. I do want to go to Autzen pretty bad. I have some friends that graduated from U of O, and they loved it. They always come down for the games here in Berkeley, and it's, dude, it's a bummer. You go to Cal games against any, like USC, Oregon, any relevantly big team, and it's like an away game. Like, it's a bummer, dude. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm too like loyal. Like, I'm not one of those people that's just like, all right, well, I'm gonna go root for like Oklahoma or root for like, another team. Like, I'm gonna continue to root for Cal, and it like sucks because there's not really like a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't see them getting much better anytime soon. So the least I could do is go have fun and watch them like lose somewhere else and get to experience like, Eugene or, Seattle, one of these other college towns on the West Coast. That's a good suggestion. I'll definitely look into that. All right, here we go. Again, you guys, it doesn't have to be football questions. You can throw questions like this out. It'll create fun dialogue. And if you guys have opinions about it too, we can get to it. This burritos versus tacos debate is always a fun one. I had a burrito today, actually, for lunch. It was very good. I grew up in, Redwood City, so I take, great pride in the Mexican food that was available to me, the tacos and burritos that were at my disposal growing up. So it's definitely something that I always enjoy discussing. But having said that, it's tacos for me by like a mile. And here's why. If I go get a burrito, like it's like one thing. Like I love carnitas, I love lengua, I love, asada, al pastor, all that stuff. But if I'm getting a burrito, it's just one. If I go get 5 tacos, I can get a couple different things. I can get a couple carnitas tacos, I can get a couple al pastor, maybe I want some lengua. Like, it gives you options, right? That's for me where I like the tacos a little bit more, just because you can kind of mix it up a little bit and you're not tied to one thing. So to me, it's going to be tacos every time. And if you're going to the right spots, you can get a good agua fresca too, get a good, beverage on the side, whatever, horchata, whatever you guys want to drink. Tacos every single time. All right. Like, burritos are good. Again, I had one today. Someone got me one for lunch. I'm not going to turn down a free burrito, but it's tacos, and it has to be tacos. I don't see how anybody can argue like 4 burritos, to be honest. So John says tacos too. Yeah, BSE. No, like there's no way it's burritos. Not, oh my goodness, not even close. Like this. One of these days we'll agree on a food take. Actually, it's not tonight apparently, but one of these days it's going to happen. It's a shock to me that it hasn't happened yet. But one of these days you'll come around and have a good food take. I'm waiting for it. I agree with most of your opinions, but your food takes have just been like some major swings and misses. It's been kind of disappointing, to be honest. It's like, come on, it's tacos. John's with me. It's tacos 100%. Like, when you're dealing with smaller amounts of tortilla too, the tortillas usually fresher. Usually they're hand making small little, and it's always corn tortilla too. Flour tortilla, like, no, like that's just, we're not even going to discuss that because not valid. You get little corn tortillas. You get these little corn tortillas that are fresh, ready to go, different kinds of meat, different kinds of toppings, any of that stuff. You get a burrito, you're stuck with one thing. Who wants to be stuck with one thing? Like, I personally pride myself on being somebody who's, liberated and free and keeping my options open. And that's what tacos represent. Burritos like represent being like constrained to one thing. Hey, maybe it's one good thing, but you're like stuck in that box with that burrito. For me, this is a taco channel. So just so you guys know, this is a pro taco channel. This is the best argument I've ever seen. You can eat 18 tacos. It's feasible. I've seen it done before. I've come close to doing it myself. You can't eat 18 burritos. Like, nobody's eating 18. If you are eating 18 burritos, DM me the video on Twitter. I want to see that because you deserve recognition. I'll help you get your name out there. We'll get you the, unless you're like Joey Chestnut. Shout out Joey, San Jose legend, 408 guy, Bay Area guy. Unless you're Joey Chestnut, nobody's eating 18 burritos. Like, come on, man. We'll quickly get to these. Joshua Williams from Fayetteville State. It's a HBCU. Curious what you think. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I know sometimes the tape from the HBCUs can be a little hard to find. If you have some, please send it my way. I'll look at it. I'll look out and see what I can find. I definitely think that there is great value in getting a lot of these guys that are mid-major guys from HBCUs, from FCS schools. Like I think so many of them get overlooked because of that. Look at guys like Darius Leonard and Cooper Kupp and some of these guys who are the best at their position in the NFL are coming from these schools. And I think a lot of times they just simply get overlooked and passed over because teams aren't sinking the resources into scouting them as much as they should. So I appreciate that, Jamal. I'll definitely check it out. W for the taco take as well. It's easily tacos, dude. Like this isn't even like it shouldn't even like I'm allowing it to be a discussion because I continue to run my mouth about it, but it's not a discussion. Like tacos easily win. John hammering home the point. Like there's variety in tacos. You can get 4 different meats with 4 different tacos, and just like who wouldn't want that variety? You can eat more tacos. Like, yeah, of course, more goes into a burrito, but you can eat more tacos, and you can get anything that's on a burrito. You can technically get on a taco. Like, yeah, not every taco is going to have everything that a burrito does, but a lot of places do. Like, it's pretty hard to find a place that's going to outright, like, not if you want like beans or something on there that like realistically, what are you not getting on a taco that's in a burrito? Like, it's all going to be there. Like, if it's really about like the rice and beans and stuff, get tacos and get rice and beans on the side, honestly. And then, I can't wrap my head around this. I don't understand how tacos is not like it has to be. Well, you'd be surprised, Jamal. There are people that eat flour tortillas out here. I'm not going to throw names out there because that's just not, I'm not here to ruin people's evenings, but yeah, it's tacos. Yeah, you could get rice on the side. You could literally ask for a little cup of rice on the side. You get a little cup of beans on the side. It's nice. You can add it to your tacos if you want. Tacos, like it's like a mile. Like if we're ranking it, like tortas are before burritos too. If you really want to have something that has the rice and beans and all that stuff too, get a torta. Don't get a burrito. Tortas are way better than burritos, especially if they're baking the bread fresh. Not even close. Like a mile difference separates all these. So unfortunately, it's not going to be burritos. I can't agree. It seems I don't think I see anybody else in the chat that's still saying burritos. Like I think you're alone on this one. Unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, but yeah, Hendrix, we have officially moved to the taco versus burrito debate that nobody asked for, but they're getting now. I feel bad for anybody who's like found this that doesn't know me or doesn't know this channel. It's like, oh, cool, 49er stuff, and they just see me like ranting about burritos sucking and like tacos being way better. So sorry to anybody who found that. Saturday nights on the channel, man, that's what we do. That's not true at all. You can literally eat like 17 tacos if you feel like it, and it's not even that expensive. Like, oh man. Ooh, John, I'm sorry, dude. Ooh. That's kind of I'm not gonna lie, man. It's kind of blasphemous in these parts. It's soft corn tortillas every single time. Yeah, the crunchy. I mean, hey, man, I get it. I respect a nice, crunchy tortilla. I get it. Out here, I can't co-sign that though, man. I'll get run out of town if I back that up. Around these parts, it's blasphemous to pick a crunchy taco over like a regular corn soft tortilla. Yeah, that's I can't back. I'm sorry, Adam. I can't back it up, man. I'm from Redwood City, man. I literally grew up in a neighborhood called Little Mexico in Redwood City. For those of you who are familiar with the peninsula of the Bay Area, like I grew up in Fair Oaks, man. Like I would get run out of my home soil if I sit here and talk about flour tortillas or crunchy tacos being good. I can't afford to do that. I wouldn't do that because it's not how I feel, but I can't afford to let that slide. I have to be very outspoken against that, or I lose the credibility that I have from where I'm from. Fine, thank you for stopping by, dude. Appreciate it. So we got a little sidetracked with the burrito stuff, and this is fun. I mean, yeah, you can eat them on the go. I eat tacos on the go all the time, dude. I literally eat tacos on the go when I'm doing things all the time too. Like all these arguments that are being made for burritos, you can make for tacos too. But the argument about variety, like, what are you gonna do? Ask them to make you like a burrito that's like sections of different meat. Like, oh, here, put like a little bit of al pastor on the front, and like a little bit of carnitas in the middle. Maybe throw a little bit of asada on the end. Like, no, you're not gonna do that. Like, come on, man. Like, it's tacos by a mile. Maybe I'll do a whole stream about this. Maybe we'll open it up. I'll allow people to come in and voice their opinions. And if you do come in and you support burritos, you might get flamed, and rightfully so. But we'll at least give you the platform to defend your egregious and horrible take. Because I, for one, believe in everybody's right to have an opinion, no matter how wrong it may be. But this is just. I'm not gonna lie, I was struggling to stay awake. I was so tired. I'm like very energetic and awake now because I can't believe there's people in this world who actually think burritos are better than tacos. It blows my mind. Jamal, my guy, come on, man. You know I'm with. I always tell people, man, I'm outside for real. People they be sleeping on the kid, dude. I'm outside, man, and we're just getting started. So I appreciate you, Jamal. The feeling is mutual. Um, I'm right on this though. Like, this is candy corn, Peeps, any of that stuff, like Almond Joy and stuff. Like, hey, I get it. Like, I'm in the minority on those. I'm on the side where people probably don't like feel the same for the most part, and I'm gonna be the one that's like, having to fight an uphill battle. I get that. I totally understand. Tacos and burrito, like I am on the side of righteousness on this one. I'm on the side of being correct. Like, this one is a W for me, and it's an L for you. Like, I hate to put it that way, actually. I don't want to see you taking L's. This is a massive L, dude. Like, there's no other way I can like package this and make it seem like nicer than it is. Like, burritos will never be better than tacos. There's no world where that outcome exists. I'm wrong about a lot of things. I'm not wrong about this. I will own being wrong. I have no problem admitting when I get things wrong. I'm not wrong at all about this. I've never been more sure of anything in my entire life. BSE had a torta today. It was delicious. Tortas are fantastic. That's another thing. We talk so much about burritos and tacos that tortas end up getting forgotten, and they are fantastic. So definitely, next time you're going to somewhere and you're going to, get in that mode, oh, do I get a burrito? Do I get a taco? Order a torta. Treat yourself. Think outside the box. Think a little, it's 2022. Live a little bit. Eat a torta. It's not crazy. Thinking burritos are better than tacos is crazy. I'm still like wrapping my mind around how somebody could have that take. Like, I can't. Hey, Diego said it, not me. I'm throwing it up there. Diego said it, not me. I'm not disagreeing either. I'm just saying, like, it is what it is. If you like flour tortillas, more power to you. I personally am a corn tortilla man myself, and I always will be. To me, like, it's not a real meal. It's not a real burrito or a real taco if it's not a corn tortilla. So Mariah, known for her long list of dubs, takes another one. See, like, this is the thing where it's tough. You get somebody like Ashley, very smart, very well spoken, has usually pretty good opinions about things, is so hopelessly wrong. And then you get this long list of people that are, pointing out how wrong she is. Like, this should be the wake up call. It's time to come to the winning side. Go from Team Burrito, come to Team Taco. Chris had hella tacos today, man. See, boom, tacos. We don't see anybody talking about burritos in here. We're talking about tortas. We're talking about tacos. Nobody's coming in here talking about, I had hella burritos today. Nobody's coming in here and saying that. If they are, I'd be concerned. If you're eating hella burritos at the same day, I'm not judgmental. I just want to make sure everything's going well in your life, because the only time in my life I've ever had more than one in the same day, I definitely was struggling a little bit. So, yeah, this was a very good good topic. I'm more like engaged and fired up about this topic than I was about like any of the football stuff or any of the NCAA stuff. Any of the stuff we talked about for the first hour, I was like nowhere near as like fired up about. I will literally argue until I am like out of breath. To my last breath, I will argue for tacos and how much better tacos are than burritos, and how much better corn tortillas are than flour tortillas. See, I'm like, I can't even keep my thoughts straight right now because I'm just like, I'm flabbergasted. That's the word I'm using right now. I never use that word, like, ever. That's the word I'm choosing to use because I just cannot wrap my head around how somebody could have this opinion. Like, it's just blowing my mind. Shout out to you, Jamal. I know it's a tough battle, so I apologize. If I can find anywhere that's doing a good like gluten-free substitute in the Bay, I'll let you know, and we'll go next time you come out for a game. We'll figure it out. Soft tacos, hey man, soft tacos are where it's at. BSE, no crunchy tacos. Hendrix is all about the tortas too. Like, man, come on. We're I'll come back to the special teams, Brian, but I'm sorry, Brian. Right now, this taco thing has me like, dude. I'm like, I just can't wrap my head around it. Don, yes, no, you absolutely do. I promise you. Like, if you go to anywhere in like the greater California area, really, like if you go to like San Diego, awesome Mexican food. Most of LA, really good Mexican food. The Bay Area, it's really hard again. You have to like go out of your way to find like bad Mexican food on the West Coast. Especially if you go to like I'm really lucky. Like I'm in San Jose. Like there's a bunch of places here that like are like not even like trucks. They're like the like taco trucks, but like a trailer that they pull that they set up at a gas station. You go get like queso burrito tacos at like 1 a.m. at like the Chevron down the street from me, and they are so good, dude. They're like out of this world. So we're really spoiled. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I was in Indianapolis for the combine, I was I'm not surprised, but it was disgraceful what passed as a taco over there. I'll just put it to you like that. I don't want to sound disrespectful. It was a very hospitable town, and they took great care of me while I was there. But when you're used to eating the Mexican food we have out here, and you go to the Midwest and eat tacos, it is a very abrupt wake up call. So if you get out here for a game or anything, let me know. I'll give you some recommendations for some spots I really like. There's a place that I love that's like 20 minutes from Levi's where they make hand make all their own tortillas, handmade corn tortillas, same day. Literally, it's usually like within minutes of you ordering. Their carnitas is incredible. Really good spot. So if you guys make it out, let me know. I'll try to give you as many food recommendations as possible. The only stipulation is if you go, you have to order tacos. If you go and I find out you ordered a burrito, you are cut off. There is no more food recommendations for me. That's the final straw. I don't know why this keeps booting me out of here. My bad, guys. Yeah, this taco debate has been fun, man. I'm not gonna lie. This definitely. All right, is Cynthia still in here? All right, Cynthia's corn. I'm all about that. Cynthia, tacos or burritos right now? Because your opinion I hold in like the utmost regard. I need to know what your thoughts are, Cynthia, because you are somebody who I have tremendous respect for. I need to know where Cynthia stands. If you're still watching, if I missed you, I'll have to ask you another time. But I have to know where Cynthia stands on this. Yeah, I agree, Hendrix. I think those are just more like there needs to be like another word for what those like are because they're not tacos, man. They're just like it's just like a hard like shell with like meat and stuff in it. So, yeah, I mean fettuccine is good, Jamal, but you know, as some, I don't know if Tony's still watching. I know Tony's like the guy who has to tell everybody he's Italian, so I don't want to be stealing Tony's thunder. But for me, like the undefeated dish is always cioppino. If you find a place that has good cioppino, they will get my business endlessly. That's usually my go-to. Anywhere that does good like squid ink pasta too, anything like that, I am all about. I had a stretch where I was eating pasta like 6 nights a week, dude. Like when I first moved to San Jose and I was in my own spot and I, didn't want to go out and spend a bunch of money eating out because anybody who lives around here knows rent's crazy. Dude, I was eating pasta like every single day. And as good as it is, it gets very old very fast. So it's like a treat for me now when I go out and I order pasta if I go to a nice Italian place. I'm blanking on the name. But if any of you are ever in the South or here for a Niners game, there's a really, really good Italian place that's right across the street from SAP Center in like Little Italy right there on Julian Street in San Jose. It's really good. But yeah, Italian food is always welcome on the channel. We're always happy to discuss that there. I agree, Diego. You don't find tacos on the 7-Eleven freezer. They'll sell tacos there. Jack in the Box sells tacos, but to me, it's not like a taco. It's not what I view as like a taco. Yeah, that's fair. Like a breakfast burrito. See, that's the thing. Like if you're eating a breakfast burrito, Adam, that's a totally different conversation. Like a good breakfast burrito with chorizo or linguiça and eggs, like, dude, I totally get it. Like a burrito is going to be better for that. Like that's a much better setting. I'm talking like a dinner or a lunch meal where you're having that selection of, you know, like the general meats you'll get lengua, you'll get carnitas, asada, pollo, al pastor, you know, cabeza, tripas, like all that stuff. If you can get that, it's always going to be better in tacos than it is in the burrito. And I will die on that hill, dude. I am just like that's like there's very few things that I will not budge on, that I am not willing to like hear people's arguments out and maybe change my opinion and oh maybe I'm wrong. I'm not wrong at all. I am 100% right, and I firmly believe that. I don't really firmly believe that. I firmly know that. And I'm just saying, if you like burritos over tacos, if you had to pick between the two and you're picking burritos, again, I'm happy to be your friend. I'm happy to, you know, engage in conversation. You know, I'm not going to dislike you anymore, but I think it's a major red flag. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm going to be a little bit concerned. Like, I don't know if I can trust this person's judgment. They like burritos over tacos. I don't know, man. So yeah, burritos are just burritos, man. Like, come on. Like, this is tortas are, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, see, the problem with cereals, Jamal, so we did argue cereals. Anybody who watched last week, we talked about cereal for like an hour or something like that. The problem with cereal is that everybody, well, not everybody, but like 95% of people know that Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the best cereal. And so like after that, there's really no like arguing. And most of the cereal that's out is like pretty much the same. Like it's not, you know, exactly the same, but it's like really hard to get into an argument, like fundamentally arguing like Fruit Loops and like Fruity Pebbles, right? Like they're obviously different and Fruity Pebbles are better, but like it's not like so much of a drastic difference where it's like making this huge like argument. But if the argument was, would you rather have a cereal where you can only have Cinnamon Toast Crunch, or you could have a bowl to eat your cereal where you could have Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Fruity Pebbles and 3 other cereals? I'm going to take the variety every time. So that's where this argument comes in when we're talking about tacos, right? I value positional versatility. All right. You have to be able to line up at multiple areas of the field. And when you order tacos, you're getting that flexibility. You're getting that positional versatility. Sure, burritos are good. Burritos give you a solid role player who's going to specialize in one role. I need versatility. If you want a final roster spot on Team Food for Jordan, you need to have positional versatility. And tacos offer that kind of flexibility, that kind of versatility. I can ask tacos to drop back in coverage. I can ask tacos to rush the passer. I can ask tacos to drop in the flat. Guess what? Burritos are only doing one of those things. They might do it really well. They're only doing one, though. Give me the jack of all trades, which is tacos. So Cynthia brings an interesting argument to this dynamic. A tamale lover. And I think that's an interesting take, too, because I know some people who don't like tamales, which I can't wrap my head around. Again, I'm very fortunate. I grew up in a neighborhood where I had people come knock on my door and sell homemade tamales a couple times a week that were just fantastic and out of this world. So yeah, I think that's totally fair. Tamales are really good. I don't know if we can necessarily fairly fit it into this discussion, but I agree, Cynthia. I think that they are fantastic. I'm 100% with you. BSE is saying that so it's so funny. It's so funny. So dude, so my girlfriend's Mexican. She hates tamales, like hates them. Doesn't, not even like, oh, I don't like them, like can't stand them. And it's like the same reason, BSE. She's just like, yeah, like I've had them too much. Like it's too frequent. Don't like them. And I always give her a hard time because like I love them. So it's funny. Like I always get to, you know, I'm always going to eat them whenever they're around or I have them in my fridge. But yeah, she like cannot stand them. And it's like the same reason pretty much. Mariah had help. Hey man, I'm just telling you, I get fired up about certain things, right? And like tacos, like I think I've been talking for like 25 minutes about tacos right now. Like I've not been this fired up about something in a long time. Yeah, and that's fair, Adam. I'm just saying, like for me regionally, like where I'm from in the Bay Area, and from where I'm from, like specifically in the Bay Area, like it's corn or nothing. So I just can't like say like that, you know, I love, you know, flour tortillas. And I'm not here to judge anybody for whatever is their, you know, food from their region, wherever they're from. I get it, man. I'm just saying for me personally, like it's corn or bust, dude. It has to be corn. Dude. Oh God. So I have a good amount of like, you know, friends and family and stuff. Like my dad's from Seattle originally. I have a bunch of friends who live up in Washington. And I was up there a couple summers. I think it was 2020. Yeah, I was up there in like summer 2020. And I was in Eastern Washington, which was, you know, it's way off the beaten path, you know, from what we're talking about, like Bay Area food. The stuff that passes for Mexican food in like parts of Oregon and Washington to me, I'm like, oh my goodness, dude, this is absurd. This is what you like what? Like, this is what you think Mexican food is? And it like blows my mind. It reminds me that I'm very spoiled, right? Like I'm trying to be humble about this. Like I am very lucky that I live in a place where I can accept like have access to really good Mexican food. But yeah, dude, it's when you get north of the Bay, it gets very like dicey, like very fast. So I agree with that. Oh, dude, yes, thank you. I'm so glad somebody, dude, Dante Hall is one of my goats, dude. This is one of my like favorite like pieces that I have. I don't have too much room for the wall behind me for streaming. I have a couple more things that I'm, trying to collect. I'm a big memorabilia guy. I love collecting stuff. The Ricky Williams one is obviously like my prize. I love it very much. I don't know how big it shows up on your guys' screen, but it has a nice little message there that rings true for me, and it has Ricky. It very greatly sums up Ricky Williams, the person. Patrick Willis is my favorite 49er of all time. Michael Vick's one of my favorite players of all time. So these ones, I try to keep the ones that are close that mean like the most to me. So these ones definitely, it may not be the flashiest players. Obviously these guys are they're pretty good too. But it's always nice because I'm not saying that like it's not like some unknown player, but I've had people see that and they ask me if it's like Dwayne Bowe or something like that. So I love that you knew it was Dante Hall because dude, for me, he was one of my favorite players that I ever watched when I was a kid growing up. So I always appreciate the love for any of the backdrop. I definitely take great pride in having stuff that means a lot to me. I'm a big sentimental value guy, and all these pieces have a big sentimental value for me. Let's see. Green or red salsa. I think it depends. I'll be honest. I'm biased. For anybody who's from the Bay Area, or, familiar with that area, El Griense, there's like 17 of them in Redwood City, but the one that was closest to me, that's my favorite, makes really good chili verde. So I go green just because the one they make is so good. It has enough heat to it that it's not just some like mild, a lot of times people equate, like green salsa to being mild. It still has heat to it. It's just a little bit different. And the tomatillos, the way they roast them, and it's like perfect, dude. So I personally lean that way just because of where I tend to eat more frequently. But I think both are really good. I don't think there's a wrong. It's not an egregious of a miss as like picking burritos over tacos. If you like red salsa, I don't fault anybody for that. I just personally, I like the tomatillos and I like the chili verde at the one close to me. Yes. Oh, Diego, I will 100% be there if that happens. There's no chance that I miss the 49ers playing a game in Mexico City. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen too. So I would love to meet up. And I'll tell you what, if you pick the spot, I'd be happy to pick up the tab. It'd be an honor to buy you some tacos. Let me know. We'll make it happen. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I will definitely be there. It would be a pleasure. Vince, I'm so sorry I just saw this. I don't know if you're still in here, but happy birthday to you. Sorry, I got sidetracked arguing about tacos and tortillas and stuff like that. But happy birthday to you, dude. Everybody in the chat, please wish Vince a happy birthday. I hope you had an awesome day and you have a great year to come. Let me see if I can catch up to some of these. Sorry, I got so who's coaching? Oh, so Coach K. Ashley was a college basketball coach who's been coaching Duke, which is one of the biggest college basketball programs for the last 35 seasons, maybe more than 40 seasons. I don't know. It's been a long time. He's just been around forever. And it was his last game tonight, and he lost. So, burritos are not versatile. Burritos are a one-trick pony. Burritos have one move. Burritos are like a pass rusher that can only bull rush. Tacos are like a pass rusher that has like a swim move, a rip-through move, a cross-chop move, good bend around the edge. Like you have the whole package. Like sure, with the burrito, you can win with a burrito. It's just boring. Like you know what I mean? Like you can win. Like hey, there's a lot of players you can win with. It's not really exciting. That's kind of how burritos are. Let's see where we are. I'm a few minutes behind, so I'm trying to catch up a little bit. Let's see. Cereal equals sugar and milk, basically, unless it's granola. Granola's good, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I like granola. I like granola and yogurt a lot. I don't eat it with cereal. I'll be honest with you guys. This may sound like, again, I get like just lit up for food takes sometimes. So I'm putting myself out there to you guys who have loyally stayed to listen to me rant about tacos. My brother's a personal trainer, right? So he eats like a very specific set of food. He has his macros. He has all his specific stuff. I haven't really, I'm just kind of like, hey, I eat whatever, whenever I feel like it. But when I try to go on like diets and workout stuff, I always consult them for advice. the greatest advice he ever gave me, and it's so funny because it's going to sound like you have to hear me out on this before you completely write this off. The greatest advice he ever gave me was like this post-workout meal. So when I would go to like work out, you know, I was saying like eating something that's really high in carbs and like not like a super high amount of calories, but like a decent amount of carbs right after was good. And like he had this whole logic and reasoning behind it. I'm sure there's plenty of people watching this who know more than me about that. Rice Chex was what he always said to eat, right? And like Rice Chex isn't really like that flavorful on its own. This is the key. So you take the protein powder that you're using, because anybody that's going to the gym a lot generally is going to be using some kind of protein powder. They're doing shakes or whatever. I was doing 50 grams of protein a day just through the, you know, powder, and then I'd eat my, you know, turkey and chicken, all that other stuff to meet my macros I was on. So I would take a scoop of my protein powder, mix it in with water like you would a protein shake, and then I would use that for the milk with Rice Chex. And there's this company called Dymatize. Some of you may have heard of it. They make really, really good protein powder, and they have a Fruity Pebbles flavored protein powder. So I would eat this bowl, and it's different at first because the consistency, even with the protein powder of like water and protein powder mixed with cereal, isn't the same as milk. But I swear to you, once you get used to it, I don't like to eat regular cereal anymore. Like regular cereal like feels weird. This, I eat it, I still feel like I'm not eating just like a big bowl of like sugar and milk, like Jamal said. But it's like so good, dude. And they have like a million different flavors of it, so you can change what you're getting. And I just go and get Rice Chex. Like a big box of Rice Chex is like $4, dude. So just throwing that out there. If you have protein powder lying around at home, try it with like Life or Rice Chex or one of those like regular cereals, and let the protein powder dictate the flavor of the cereal. I promise you, it's much better if you're trying. And again, not everybody's like trying to do that, but for me, when I was trying to like limit my calories and limit my, you know, intake and watch what I was eating, dude, it was so good. And I'd sit there and I'd eat these like massive bowls of it. It tasted incredible. And the like macros and the like nutritional stuff was like minimal. Like it was like in a good way. Like I was barely eating that many calories. I didn't have all the added calories from milk and stuff. It's great if you're lactose intolerant. Like I'm not. I used to, you know, I'd break out sometimes when I'd eat a bunch of like milk or cheese or whatever. But it's fantastic. So just throwing that out there for anybody. And again, I'm sure some people, if I go down to the comments, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, that's foul. How could you do that?" I'm telling you right now, if you have good protein powder, mix some with some water and your like protein shaker or whatever the hell you use. Pour it in instead of milk over your cereal and try it and tell me what you think. And maybe you think it's disgusting, but I'm telling you, I got put on this was like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago or something like that. Never looked back. The only other thing I'll still use is I'll use like oat milk or like almond milk or something. This is, to me, is still better than that. And it has a bunch of protein in it because you're getting 25, 30 grams of protein every time you throw a scoop in there. So just throwing that out there. I don't want to go to yeah, man. Hey, versatility wins football games. All right. In the modern NFL, you need a food that's going to be able to contribute on special teams, going to be able to contribute on defense. You know, line up in the slot, line up out wide, carry the ball to the back. Like tacos are like Deebo Samuel, right? Like Deebo Samuel can do it all. He is a jack of all trades. He does everything. Like burritos might be like, you know, I'll come back to it because I don't want to say a player that's good that's going to cloud my argument of using Deebo as tacos. But we're going to stick with that for right now. Deebo is like tacos are like the Deebo Samuel of Mexican food, just dominant, delicious. Like you can do all these things you can do. Like that's what they are. Like they're fantastic. And when you think of Deebo Samuel, what do you think of? You think of a home run hitter. You think of a dynamic athlete. You think of a dominant player. And when I think tacos, I think all of those things. And then you add in the fact that they're delicious. They taste really good. They always hit the spot. Like, come on, man. Like, I feel like I've won this argument like 30 minutes ago. So those of you who disagree, you know who you are. You know you're wrong. It's okay. I forgive you. Just know that. Hopefully one day you'll be able to forgive yourself for being so wrong. I forgive you for whatever it's worth. But yeah, versatility was the key. Was the key. Let's see where else we're at. Yeah, that's a great argument. Yeah, exactly. Like DJ Jones is still a really good player. Burritos are good. Tacos do a little bit more. Fred Warner's fitting run gaps. He's dropping into coverage. He's rushing the passer. He's doing things all over the field. DJ Jones is a really good player too. He's just not doing the same things Fred Warner's doing. There's not the same level of versatility. So just saying, man, like, I don't know. I do think that that's the quote. That's the quote we're coming away with. No, burritos are not Tom Brady in this analogy. No, you can't just jump to the greatest athlete of all time. Like, there's no way you can do that. Like, yeah, John, do it right now. I promise you. Try the protein powder and the cereal, dude. I swear to you, if I gain anything from this stream, if it's just converting you to this magnificent food journey that I was taken on, this is a massive victory for me. This will make it worth it that I've been going for almost 2 hours, like ranting about tacos and stuff. If I know that you tried this and you're like, damn, you know what? This is super good. Like, then this too. This is what I want us to take away from tacos. Are like Deebo Samuel. Tacos are the Deebo Samuel of food choices. Okay, just dominant. Always a good choice, always the right move, always the right idea to hand Deebo Samuel the football. It's always the right idea to come home with a plate full of tacos. I'm really, this is the best question I think I've gotten on the channel yet. There's nothing that I've talked about for 45 minutes straight with this much like intensity, other than tacos. So that was a really good question. Even though you're wrong about the take, like, I do applaud like the discussion that you just started, Ashley, because this has been great for me. It gave me the energy I needed to power through this to talk about how wrong you were. So I appreciate you putting that out there, but just know that you are still wrong and I am right. And whoever agreed with me was right. So you guys know who you are. Diego, a taco tour? Yes, hey, absolutely. I literally will, from the moment I land there till the moment I get on the plane to come back, I will be happy to go on a taco extravaganza with you and just eat tacos nonstop. I love seeing everybody wishing Vince a happy birthday as well. You guys are awesome. Anybody, if it ever is your birthday in here, let me know ahead of time. We'll get you a shout out or something like that. I think that anybody who is here hanging out, having a good time, deserves to be shouted out and supported. And I want to make sure you feel, loved and appreciated, at least from my end. And, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but there's a lot of people who are really cool, really nice people that I'm sure would reciprocate it as well. This is where it gets interesting. So I don't know where exactly on the East Coast you are, John. Pizza on the West Coast sucks, dude. And I say that with all due respect. If your family owns a pizzeria or you have, big ties to a pizzeria and I just hurt your feelings or offended you, I'm sorry. But pizza on the West Coast sucks, dude. It is not that good. Like, it's just not the same. Like, yeah, there are some places where they have New York style pizza on the West Coast. I don't count those. If you come from New York or the East Coast and you open a pizzeria on the West Coast, doesn't count. I'm talking strictly like the pizza that's like CPK and a lot of these like pizza places that are like, what? It's not good, dude. Like, no, like, it's just not good. So I agree with you there. Like, there is a trade-off. And I still think to this day, like, thin crust, like New York style, just cheese pizza with no toppings, like that, you can't beat that. That's the best pizza you could possibly have. And there's a couple places in the Bay Area that are like, they're pretty good places. And it's always somebody who comes from New York or the East Coast and opens a spot up over here. You are very rarely going to find somebody that's like born and raised, not using New York style, that has that like thick dough or whatever. Like, it's not good. Pizza on the West Coast is not good. I'm sorry. If I hurt anybody's feelings saying that, I apologize, but it's the truth. And if you live here, like, I love being from the Bay Area, dude. I love being a West Coast guy. Our pizza is not good, man. Like, it's not. Like, let's be real. I think that we can all sit here and have an honest conversation about it. Okay, John's from Cleveland. Okay, yeah. So I'm sure even in Cleveland, like, you guys have better pizza choices than we do, just being closer to the East Coast than we do here. Like, it's not good, dude. If you come here, don't be surprised if you find a place that has decent pizza, but also don't be surprised in the slightest if you go somewhere to eat a pizza and you're like, what the hell did they just serve me? Like, what was this? This isn't pizza. This isn't what I'm used to. Again, there's a trade-off regionally, depending on where you go, things change, but pizza on the West Coast is not good, man. That's another hill I'll die on. Like, it's just not. And like, the dough is not the same. It's not the same. I'm sorry to anybody again if I hurt your feelings saying that pizza over here sucks, but it kind of does. But yeah, John, you should try that. I'm telling you, try that protein powder. Try the protein powder and a little bit of granola. Let's see. Best post-workout meal is chocolate protein, banana smoothie, granola, PB on top. Bomb. Yeah, okay. I could definitely anything with like I love bananas, so anything that has a banana in it, I'm down with. Bananas and chocolate do go really well together too. I had like a whole pantry full of different protein powders, and I would do chocolate and banana and all that. The sleeper that a lot of people do know, but it took me a while to realize. If you want like thicker avocado, or sorry, not thicker, like thicker consistency in your smoothies, avocados. Avocados in smoothies and milkshakes or anything, it like blew my mind because I'm like, oh, I don't want to mix chocolate and avocado. That's disgusting. When I finally went around and did it, dude, it like blows you away how like much better the consistency is if you're making a smoothie, if you're making a milkshake, whatever you're making. If you're throwing anything into a blender, throw an avocado into even like half of an avocado, it's gonna blow you away. And it has a lot of good nutritional stuff for you too. I personally, I try to eat stuff that has like the natural like omega fats and all that stuff, and avocados, sorry, are really good for that. So if you throw in like a banana, an avocado, some ice, and like chocolate protein powder, like boom, that's a fire smoothie, like off the top. Like that's easy. Like what, 3 ingredients plus ice, easy as could be. So that's just my 2 cents from that. I think avocados get very slept on. Yeah. See, Mariah knows there's just not good pizza out here. And again, sure, you get people from the East Coast who come to the West Coast and they set up pizza and they set up, their shops and stuff like that. Like, that's different to me, right? Like, generally, though, the pizza here is not good. And again, you get like mod pizza and like Blaze pizza and stuff like that, or like Round Table. It's like, hey, man, it's pizza. I'm not complaining. I still like pizza, but it's not the same as going. If you go to the East Coast, you can get a slice. Like they don't sell pizza by the slice out here. Like very few places will actually sell you pizza by the slice out here too, John. That's another thing. If you're looking for just, hey man, I want a slice or two of pizza, can't do it. Have to order the whole thing, man. They don't do pizza by the slice at a lot of these places, which is ridiculous. It's a crime if we're being honest. Not selling pizza by the slice is a crime against humanity, and I think it's just ridiculous. And more places should be called out for that because I think it's ridiculous. But I digress. I don't want to sit here and just rant about how bad the pizza is here because it's going to make me sad knowing I don't have East Coast pizza. So we're coming up on 2 hours. I was going to do this for like 30 minutes. I was falling asleep. I'm not going to lie. The whole taco burrito thing like woke me up and got me fired up again. Vince, how about you? Is there a food take that you want to debate? It's your birthday. What if is there a food opinion you have or a food take that you want to talk about that we will? Yeah, no, they don't. There's okay. So there's some places that do, right? Like, I used to go to this place in San Mateo called Signores all the time. My buddy lived right around the corner. They do pizza by the slice. You can get 2 slices and a soda for like $6 or something. That's cool. But the majority of places won't do pizza by the slice. Like you can't just go in and, hey, can I get a slice and a Coke? Like they don't do that. Like you have to order like an entire pizza, or like they'll do like a mini pizza for like $13 or something. Yes. Oh, dude, is it oh my God, not Escape from New York. I know exactly what you're talking about, BSC. And they're open till like 2 or 3 in the morning. I had a buddy who used to manage a liquor store up in the city, and I would go there with him all the time, dude. It was so good. And they do pizza by the slice. So they had this pesto pizza there that was like insane. It's pissing me. I want to say Escape from New York, but I know that's it's bumming me out. God, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. I know exactly what you're talking about. If it's a place that's open super late at night, I used to go there all the time, man. When I'd be up in the city super late at night, it's really, I have to look this up now because it's bugging me that I can't remember it. Because I think we're talking about the same place. Hold on. I cannot believe I'm blanking on this. Okay, it's not Escape from New York. Mythic Pizza. Is it Mythic Pizza? Because if it's Mythic Pizza, dude, that is the spot. That was the dude. I had so many good meals there. I'm almost positive it's Mythic Pizza. And like, there's some decent places on like in North Beach and stuff like that. But I'm almost positive we're thinking of the same one because Mythic Pizza would be open till like 2 in the morning, and you could get slices for like $2, $3 at like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I walked into there, feeling pretty good late at night a couple times, and it definitely hits the spot. There's very few places. That's the other thing in the Bay Area too. If you want food at 3 in the morning, like your options are Denny's, and like maybe if you live in the peninsula, you can go to like Heidi's Pies or like Cherie's and like South City. There's not diners here, man. Like people on the East Coast, like, you can get food 24/7. Like It was so, dude, when Jason came out here the first time, he's from Jersey. He came out here and he was trying to get food at like 3 in the morning. Like, I'm like, dude, nothing's open. Go to like Jack in the Box. Like, nothing else is open. You know, like there's like La Vix in San Jose, but even then, like, I'm not gonna lie, like La Vix is somewhere I go if it's like 2 in the morning and nothing else is open. I'm not gonna like go out of my way to get it. So yeah, don't take that for granted if you guys are on the East Coast. Being able to get food at like any time of the night, can't do it here. Even Safeway. Safeway used to be open 24 hours, like our grocery stores. They close at 2. So there's times where I'm like starving at like 4 in the morning. There's like nothing open. I just have to like deal with it. It sucks, dude. So, excuse me. Don't take that for granted, and just know that not all of us are blessed to be able to go to diners whenever we feel like it. God, man, I can't. I spent like 50 minutes ranting about food. That's incredible. Is it okay? It is Escape from New York. Okay, yeah, because Escape from New York and Mythic Pizza to me are like by far the 2 best pizza places on. Hey, haven't been up there in a while. I don't know how it is now. I used to go there like all the time, dude. I used to hang out there like all the time. That was my spot. I used to love hanging out in the Panhandle of the park and, you know, Hippie Hill, all that stuff. It's been a while. You know, haven't been there for a 420 or anything like that in quite some time. But once upon a time, those were the moves. Adam saying 24-hour Mexican food in Arizona. See, like that sounds incredible to me. You know, I have a drive-through El Grande in Redwood that used to be open till like 2. They're open till like 11 now. We have La Vix till 2, and then there's like Heidi's Pies. Like if you want to get like hash browns and eggs, I love breakfast food. That's another thing. For like ranking the tiers of like breakfast food, lunch food, dinner, dessert, all that, breakfast is number 1 by far. So I think eating breakfast food at like 3 in the morning, there's nothing wrong with, you know, eggs and hash browns or whatever at that time of day, but we don't have like a wide variety of like food options. Like the bars and stuff stop serving liquor at 2. I don't even drink anymore, but like bars stop serving alcohol at 2 in the morning. So everything pretty much dies down at like 1:30 when they're trying to close tabs and shut everything off. And that's why in like San Francisco, there was like, I don't know if you ever had the chance, BSE, to go to like Sparky's when they were open. I used to go to Sparky's on Church all the time, like right off Market. I thought they were pretty good for what it was. You know, you get a nice milkshake and a burger or something at 3:30 in the morning. There's like that, and there's like Mel's Drive-In, and like other than that, there's like nothing that's really open. And Tommy's Joint. Tommy's Joint is fire. I heard they closed. I don't know if they opened again. I used to go to Tommy's Joint like all the time, dude. Tommy's Joint on Van Ness is incredible. I heard they closed, so I don't know if they're still open. It's been a couple years since I've been there, but dude, their food was incredible. Another place that I went to at like 2 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning or whatever, that was like super good. But yeah, like it's sad that I can think of like 5 places. I'm sure if you're in like New York or like Philadelphia or somewhere, there's like 100 places you could think of off the top of your head to eat. San Francisco, once you get past like midnight, everything's pretty much like shut down and you got to figure it out on your own. It's kind of a bummer. So there's give and takes. I love being from the Bay Area, but that's definitely one of the things that I'm not the biggest fan of is the food options being super limited. Yeah, in South Texas too. Yeah, there's 24-hour Mexican. Yeah, see, we don't have that, man. I wish we did. We don't even, again, we have Denny's. That's like, if you want food at 4 in the morning, like you can go to Denny's and get some food. No disrespect to Denny's. I'm not really eager to jump in my car and drive over to Denny's to get anything. I'm not above a Grand Slam every once in a while. I'll eat some, you know, pancake and bacon, eggs and all that stuff. But yeah, man, it's not the same. Yeah, hey, Bay Area is awesome, dude. If you ever make it out for a game, like I said, let me know. I'd be happy to recommend some spots, show anybody around who's around here. I love being from here, but it's not perfect. Definitely isn't. Again, not having the option to eat food late at night and not having good pizza and some of these other things, it definitely will stand out more so to somebody who maybe like I'm just like immune to it. I've been around it for 25 years. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, I don't really think anything of it. But then when I travel and I go places, I'm like, oh, damn, you can get food at 3 in the morning. You can do this. You can do that. Like everything here pretty much at 2 a.m. shuts down. So yeah, but hey, man, make it out for a game. Like I said, if you do, let me know. And like I said, I'll try to do my best to point you in the right direction. So we are coming up on 2 hours, and I just ranted for like an hour about food. I had a great time doing it. And I appreciate anybody who stayed around to watch. I was surprised, you know, the viewer kind of dipped up and down, but there's a good amount of people that stayed for the good better portion of that rant. So thank you. Again, tacos are way better than burritos. I shouldn't need to take an hour to talk about that. I'm kind of ashamed at myself for doing that, but I did, and here we are. Again, I'm trying to get the stream, the viewership hours up, the stuff going. And Saturday night, hey, we've talked about a bunch of Niners stuff over and over again. This is my thing, right? All of you guys watching this are devoted Niners fans for the most part. And maybe some people are found their way in here and they were really hooked on the taco talk. They don't really care about the 49ers. I'm going to assume 95% of the people watching this consume 49ers content all the time. You guys, I appreciate you wanting to hear my opinion, but you're going to hear the same story 8 times throughout the week about, an extension or a player getting traded or a draft pick being made or what's going on with Debo's extension. Kyle Shanahan said this, John Lynch said that. I get that. I'm trying to talk about that stuff too. I'm trying to address that during the week. When Saturday rolls around, I want there to be one day a week at least if I'm doing these streams all the time. We can kind of just hang out, let loose. Maybe I do go on a rant about tacos. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a music thing. I don't know. Anything that gets brought up, it's fair game. If I get BSC said, hey, I was baited. Ashley baited me into talking about that, and I went for 45 minutes. So Saturdays, I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to think of a name that's more open to that so that it's, I'm not going to lie. I have fun talking about this. It's fun for me. I talk about 49er stuff all the time. I'm writing articles all the time. I'm constantly doing football stuff, and I love it, dude. It's awesome. But, hey, man, talking about tacos and burritos is a nice change up from talking about why Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the roster or why Kyle Shanahan did this or why the Rams signed this player. It's nice to have a little bit of reprieve from all of that. So maybe Saturday nights will just kind of naturally evolve into, we'll do the Splash Cousin Variety Hour, man. We'll have it just be an open forum. Come in, and I want it to be an avenue where you guys can come in and throw a hot topic on the board, throw something up there. Talk every day in 12 different languages. Niner talk after a certain point. There's nothing that I can sit here and tell you guys that you haven't already heard that's going on with the 49ers. But I can, where else are you going to hear Deebo Samuel getting compared to a plate of tacos? I'm just throwing it out there. So we can have these, little things evolve. And again, it's Saturday night. So I like to think it's, just we're fun, hanging out, having a good time. Arch Manning's going to go to Ole Miss, I think. I think he'll go. I think it's Ole Miss or LSU, actually. I think LSU has a chance to get him. We'll see. I don't know if Brian Kelly changes things at all. I joked with somebody last year. They're like, oh, if Trey Lance doesn't pan out, what happens with, Kyle Shanahan? Or what do the Niners do if Trey Lance doesn't pan out? Just draft Arch Manning in 2025 or 2020, whatever year he's coming out. BSC thinks Texas, man. I don't know. I'd like to see Texas be good again. I'm of the belief when Texas it's like the Knicks, right? I'm not a Knicks fan, but when the Knicks are good at basketball is more fun. I think that the college football landscape would be a lot more entertaining if Texas was good. So I'm all for that. Vince is asking what I think about Golden State. Hey, man, I'm a Warriors fan through and through, so I don't want to come across as biased. I think that it's ultimately going to come down to, are they going to be able to find enough chemistry? Clay being out for so long, I think really it's hard to get back and get used to playing and get used to the in-game, playing 35 minutes and getting shots up in a tough fourth quarter with your legs underneath you after not playing for that long. Draymond being out for as long as he was. Now Steph's out. If they can all get healthy in time for the playoffs actually beginning, if Steph comes back, even if he doesn't play regular season games, if he's back, getting shots up and able to play the first game, and they can get some kind of cohesion, they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. I wouldn't think they're title favorites by any means. Giannis is the best player on the planet right now. He's just playing out of his mind. I still think Milwaukee's a really tough team. Brooklyn's a really, really good team with the way that KD and Kyrie can go off at any moment. The Suns are a really, really balanced team. I think Devin Booker's awesome. I'm not the biggest fan of watching Chris Paul play, but I have to respect his ability. As much as it's just not my style of basketball. He's really good at what he does. The Suns are the team to beat right now in the West. So I think the Warriors have as much of a shot as anybody. I just wouldn't say that they're favorites, or I have this delusional viewpoint that they're they're going to win the title this year easily. I'm just saying, man, when Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green are all healthy and playing well, I've seen that movie a lot of times, and I would take those odds any day of the week. When you throw in The way Jordan Poole has just ascended into like a star this year. The way you throw in the like Otto Porter. If you think back to that game on Christmas against Phoenix, like Otto Porter was the one who put away the Suns in that game. Like he's the kind of guy where sure, day in and day out, he's probably not going to carry a team, but he's a guy that can go off at any moment. Wiggins has these flashes of brilliance too. Looney's a guy that does a lot of the dirty work that doesn't get appreciated. So I still think they have a good team. I really like Kuminga too. I hope he gets some minutes. I know it seems like Kerr has been reluctant to play them because of just the fact that he's a rookie. Like it just seems like that's like the only reason. But you know, and I agree because this is my biggest problem is that a lot of these late game meltdowns. So like that Suns game, the two guys that melted down and like, hey, if the rookies were doing it, you'd be like, all right, you learned. It was Draymond and it was Clay. So that's where I'm kind of like I don't know. But the fact that they erased a 16-point deficit in the fourth quarter and like came back and won this game against the Jazz today, it made me feel pretty good. I truly haven't been grading them too harshly or really, I don't want to say cared too much because it still sucks to watch them lose, but with Steph out, like that, it's such a different team. So, you know, yeah, I'd like to see them win the title, obviously, but I'm not going to be like heartbroken if the Warriors don't win the title this year. I think that they're a team that they can do it, like the ability to, and especially like if Iguodala is healthy and his back holds up, like I think that he's another guy that's super underrated. They have a lot of guys who've just been there, done that, play with a high level of IQ, understanding. They know where each other are going to be for the most part. I just. Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, Kuminga was one of the few guys that could get to the free throw line. That's the thing that's crazy to me. Like they had KD, so I think a lot of people overlook the other years. But if you separate when KD wasn't there, like they didn't really have a slasher that could consistently get to the free throw line. Like Barnes kind of did. Barnes was kind of a guy who could do that. But to me, Kuminga is like this freak athlete who like still is like learning to play basketball at the NBA level, but he has flashes where he just looks really good. I'm really excited about him. I think they absolutely fleeced Minnesota when you talk about like Wiggins giving them the all-star production he did early on in the year and then like last season, and you get Kuminga in exchange for D'Angelo Russell. So hey, and you know, to be honest with you, it could be worse. Like I have a lot of friends who are Lakers fans, and they talked so much smack last year when the Warriors lost the play-in and they couldn't make the playoffs and this and that, and Curry's legacy was on the line and he couldn't carry a team to the playoffs. Well, guess what? Now they're sitting here and they're the 11th seed and they might not even make the play-in tournament as the 10th seed. So yeah, dude, it's kind of funny to me. I'm at the point now where it's like hilarious how the like tables have turned a little bit. And these like Laker fans that we're talking on, not all of them. I'm not trying to lump every Lakers fan, but the Lakers fans I know who I'm friends with talked all this smack about Steph Curry and the Warriors last year and making play-in jokes and this and that. They're not even going to get into the play. There's a chance they don't. I'm not saying they won't. There's a chance they don't get in the play-in. So I just thought that was super funny. Hey, they are those Lakers, man, are it's must-see TV though, and I'm really worried. Like, so I don't think any team is necessarily going to trade for Russell Westbrook. So I don't know how they move on for him. But that whole dynamic is just like it never made sense to me on paper, and that's why I thought it was so funny. Like LeBron needs the ball in his hands to be effective, in my opinion. So does Westbrook, and you can kind of work pick and roll and some some off ball stuff for Anthony Davis. But he's another guy. He kind of needs the ball in his hands, and that's where it's one of those situations where it makes me appreciate what the Warriors have done even more because so much of their success was built on being unselfish and being able to move the ball. Them and San Antonio are like the only two teams I've ever seen move the ball like that and have that just ability to make the fourth, fifth, sixth pass to get an open look. And it seems like it's something that they've always built their rosters around, and they have guys who buy into it. It feels like at times LA doesn't really buy into that. And, you know, Davis is hurt all the time. It's unfortunate, but he gets injured quite a bit. Yeah, I agree, Jamal. The fit never made sense for me. The whole Westbrook thing. The only way it would have made sense to me was if they brought him in to have like a super utility role off the bench where they were really managing LeBron and AD's minutes so much that you like brought in a guy like Westbrook. And then another thing that I think they missed out on was like a guy like Ibaka. If I remember correctly, they were like in on Serge Ibaka. Like he's another guy who I think just makes teams better and is a veteran who's been there, done that. Like it felt like the rest of the roster wasn't really filled out with a lot of impact guys. All the jokes about Caruso, they would have been a much better team if they had Alex Caruso this year. I think Malik Monk was a good signing. He looked good, but they have a lot of old guys, man. Like Melo is. I don't want to ever sound like I'm saying anything bad about Melo. I've loved watching him play basketball for almost 2 decades. He's older. He's not the same defender that he never was a great defender in my eyes, and he's definitely not the defender he was now. He's not going to move like that anymore. So it's kind of like you got a rookie in Jalen Green coming out and being like, yeah, well, our plan was to just kind of go at Melo over and over again. Like stuff like that's going to add up. So, I don't want to yeah, hey, that's a good point, Vince. Everybody always talks about how it was so obvious the Warriors are going to win every year and the super team with KD. Well, guess what? These other super teams and, whatever label you want to throw on them, it's hard to make the finals still. Like, I don't want to open a whole can of worms here and have like the whole new discussion. Maybe we can save it for next week when we do this. But that 2017 Warriors team, or 2016-17, the first year that KD was there, was the best basketball team ever assembled. I don't care about the Bulls that won 72 games. I don't care about Showtime Lakers. The only other team that really comes close to me is that Lakers team in 2001. Best basketball team I've ever seen. Best basketball team ever assembled. 2016, 2017 Warriors. Every time I say that, there's going to be somebody who's older that talks about Michael Jordan and the Bulls, and they talk about the 96 Bulls. They talk about the Showtime Lakers and the Celtics. I have this argument with my dad all the time. I'm sorry, man. Take a team. I'm going to go on a quick rant. You take a team from the 90s and they watch Steph Curry and KD alternate possessions, dribbling, pulling up in transition from 33 feet, 34 feet from the basket. They're going to be sitting there stunned, man. These guys were out there playing dudes in Air Monarchs, and they have to guard Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson at the same time. You get people saying things like Ron Harper is going to clamp Steph Curry. Like it's just the outrageous discourse you get from those discussions are always like really funny. I'm sorry. I've never seen a collection of talent like that Warriors team. And having Iguodala as a 6-man, having guys like David West on the bench, like that team was just ridiculous, dude. So again, I'm not here to, bash old school basketball or anything. I'm not one of those people that throws around the arguments that get made about plumbers playing back. I think that's stupid, man. Like they're still athletes. They couldn't control who they played, but yeah, that Warriors team to me was the talent level is unmatched. Like I don't think we'll see anything like that for quite some time. And all like at their peaks or near their peaks. Like Curry's coming off of back-to-back MVPs. Clay's in his prime. KD's pretty much relatively in his prime. Like that's insane. Draymond Green still relatively in his prime, coming off a Defensive Player of the Year. Like it's just that team is the best of all time. And I hate that I don't hate that I'm a Warriors fan. I hate that when I say that, people think it's because I'm biased because I'm a Warriors fan. It's not at all. It's because that's genuinely, in my eyes, the greatest level of talent that's ever been assembled on the same team. So this basketball stuff's fun. I don't know if you guys would be interested, but it'd be fun to do some basketball stuff too. I left this channel as Elliott Sports because I wanted to do more than just 49er stuff. I didn't want it to be just limited to 49er stuff, so that if I did want to go on a rant about the Warriors or a rant about something else, it would be open. So maybe we will. Yeah, Chris, I'd love to get you on. We'll do some Warriors stuff. We'll talk about it. Maybe we could do some streams after the playoff games or something. I think that'd be fun. Not all 49ers fans are Warriors fans, I know, but there's a good amount who are, so probably be some level of interest. But again, that's why the channel is Elliott Sports and not just like something 49ers or whatever, because I did want to leave the door open to do other stuff. To be honest with you, camp was really fun, but I'm really excited to do the draft because the draft's in Vegas. And I hate that that's such a like basic answer, but I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to going to Vegas and hanging out and, getting to cover it and do all my professional things, but also have some time to hang out in Vegas and hang out with some buddies and catch up with some people. Who cover some other teams. I don't get to see too often because they do cover teams in other parts of the country or live in other parts of the country. So definitely the draft. Training camp is probably right after it, though, to be honest. OTAs will be cool, but training camp was fun. Especially being in the South Bay. It's nice being here and being able to just, wake up and drive 5 minutes and be there. So it makes it very easy. It's not like I'm not flying. I'm driving to Vegas just so I have my own car. So I have to drive 8 hours there and 8 hours back, whatever it is. So it's nice thing about training camps. I don't have to do that. But yeah, to be honest, Vegas is going to be really fun. If the draft was in like Cleveland again or like another random city, I might not be as excited to go and do it. I'd still do it. I wouldn't be quite as excited. But yeah, I'm going to go to Vegas for a few days and hang out for like a work thing. Which again, I will be working. I take great pride in my work. I work very hard, but once I clock out and I am on fun time, it'll be very fun to go hang out and do some stuff in Vegas. So yeah, we'll do some fun Warrior streams, some fun other stuff. I'm probably going to cut this off pretty soon unless you guys have any more questions, just because again, I wasted all my energy on the taco streams. The taco rants, I got burnt out pretty quick. So unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about, I'll probably go ahead and wrap this up here. We got 2 hours in. Again, I was just trying to get on for like 20 minutes and give some kind of content. So I'm happy that we turned this into something more. Ashley, shout out to you if you're still watching. Thank you for your question. Again, you're horribly wrong with your opinion, but you generated a tremendously compelling discussion. So I do give you credit for that. I tip my cap to you for doing that. Again, the opinion sucks. Like, burritos will never be better than tacos, but we would have never had the discussion if it wasn't for you. So I will give you credit for that. No, that's not what we will be ending this on. I spent all of my energy fighting the good fight and doing what was right. I'm somebody that puts the greater good ahead of my own interests. I sacrificed my own energy or lack thereof to do what was right. And that's what we will take away from this stream. John, thank you so much. I'll be back in the next couple days. I think Monday, I believe I'm going to have Akash on talking with me. Akash from Niners Nation. So it'll be a fun Niners Nation stream. We'll be talking about that. Tuesday, I have something really fun lined up. I don't know if I'll be going live, but I'll have some video I'll be able to pull that I think 49ers fans will like a lot. And then I will be having Jason Aponte on the stream sometime this week too. I just have to get my schedule in line so that when he's available, I can have him on. So we'll figure that out. But yeah, I'm going to probably call it too. I'm in the middle of rewatching Sopranos right now. So I got to stay, even though I've seen it before, I know what happens. It's just, I'm in the middle of one of those like compelling rewatches where you're like binge watching something you've already seen. So I have some episodes to catch up on, some writing to do. So I'm probably going to get out of here. And yeah, he probably will have better opinions than me, but I'll tell you what, he will agree with me that tacos are better than burritos. No, there's no way in this world that he would agree that burritos are better than tacos. So much smarter man than myself, much better entertainer, but we're going to be in lockstep with this whole tacos take because it's the right take. And we are generally in unison on doing this. Hey, that's a W, Vince. Hey, man, Sopranos, one of the best shows of all time, hands down. Sopranos it's just so good, and it's so crazy to me to think about that these episodes were coming out like 20 years ago, whatever. Like, it's so good, and it felt like it's so ahead of its time because I was like 4 years old when that show came out, so I'm obviously not watching it as they're like coming out then. But to think that these episodes were dropping in like 1999 like blows my mind. It is so well written. It is so well acted. I love Better Call Saul. Jamal, I actually think that like I enjoyed watching. So like Breaking Bad is awesome. Breaking Bad is one of the best shows ever. It's a really good show. I actually think that I enjoy watching Better Call Saul more, especially with like Lalo. Like Lalo has only been in like a season and a half of this show. He's already my favorite TV character of like any show I've ever seen. He's so good in that role, dude. Tony Dalton playing Lalo in that role is so good that like I'm like already kind of sad that there's only one season left. And I think it's like April 18th, like 2 weeks, dude. I think it's next, not 18th. When is? I think it's not this coming Sunday. The next Sunday is the first episode of the final season. So I'm with you on Better Call Saul, and I get a lot of heat when I say that I enjoy Better Call Saul more than Breaking Bad. But to me, Better Call Saul just had more, like there were more diverse plot lines to me than Breaking Bad. Sorry, like there was just more going on, and like Kim Wexler is like such a good character. Like I don't know the actress's name, so I apologize. But whoever played Kim Wexler, like phenomenal. Like that's one of the best TV characters I've ever seen. I really think that Bob Odenkirk's fantastic as Saul. Obviously, the whole series, like Mike's really good. It's so good. Highly recommend to anybody who hasn't seen it. Better Call Saul is fantastic. You can catch up with most of the seasons on Netflix. I don't think they have 5 there yet, so you can catch up on like the first 4, find a way to watch the 5th, and then the 6th is coming out in like 2 weeks. But yeah, dude, it is so good. So yeah, I'm with you, Jamal. That's a really good show. Maybe that's another stream we'll do. We'll talk about TV shows and rank TV shows, because I have a hard time believing Ashley could have a worse opinion about TV shows than she does about tacos. So it could be like her moment of redemption. We'll give her like the platform to redeem herself for the massive L that she was handed today by not only me, but the members of the chat as well. Respect to everybody who backed me up. Again, fighting the good fight. Your assistance is not unnoticed, nor is it unappreciated. I am very grateful for you guys not leaving me alone to fight the good fight for tacos. So yeah, no, definitely check it out. Yeah, I would definitely watch. It's just, there's something about it. Like there's like, again, it's not going to have some of the same like massive cliffhangers and like massive I don't know, like Breaking Bad had some like pretty like, oh my god moments, but I felt like Better Call Saul was like more consistent and like more like, especially if you're into like dramas, like it had more like depth. Like Jamal said, that's the best word. It's like it was much like deeper, and it's really good. Like I can't wait until the final season. I can't remember the last time I was this excited. The last time I was this excited to watch like the final season of something was probably like when Entourage was in its final season. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of disappointed. I thought the final season of that show was kind of terrible compared to the rest of it. But I'm hoping that Better Call Saul lives up to it, and I have every reason to believe it will. Like it should be really good. And I'm pretty sure it's been like, it was supposed to come out like 2 years ago or something like that, and they got delayed because of COVID for so long. So I don't know why it keeps cutting off, but yeah, I'm all for Better Call Saul. We will definitely talk about that more in depth, and especially when the show starts coming out, maybe on Sunday nights, Jamal, we could have if you're down, we'll do like a live reaction. If you have the time, I'll get you on and we'll talk Better Call Saul, because that's something that people need to hear about. You know, we can rant about tacos and burritos and the 49ers and stuff, but I still want to know what happened. Like the cliffhanger that we've been sitting on for like 2 years from season 5 of Better Call Saul is like, it like eats away at me. I like stare at my ceiling sometimes and like wonder what happened. So I'm definitely there too. It'd be fun to talk about it a bit. We can figure it out. So I'm probably gonna call it unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about. Yeah, we got 2 hours and 2 hours 21 minutes in. And again, those viewership hours help me out, so I'm super grateful for it. Thank you to everybody. Again, I apologize if you somehow made it this far and you were looking for 49ers content and you got me ranting about Mexican food and talking about TV shows instead. So my utmost apologies, but that's, again, what Saturday nights are going to turn into on here. Maybe I could find a better name for it that portrays that, so people aren't like tricked into watching stuff that's not 49ers related, even though that's in the title. So thank you, Vince. I appreciate you guys. Again, I'm going to try to do these on the weekends. And let me see really quick. Jimmy's still on the roster because he's a burrito and everyone wants for tacos. I mean, let's be real. Tacos are way better than burritos, man. Like, hey, you can win with a burrito. Like, you can win games with Jimmy Garoppolo, but like sometimes you need some variety. You need some explosive plays downfield, and I think tacos offer that explosive play downfield. Diego, I hope whenever your tacos arrive, they are fantastic, dude. I hope they're the best tacos you've ever had in your life. I'm getting hungry just saying the word tacos over and over again, so I'm going to have to find a way to get some myself. Vince, happy birthday, dude. Again, I hope you had a fantastic birthday. I am so glad that you were able to stop by and hang out for a bit, on your special day here. And again, if you make it out this way, I'll show you some good spots in the Bay if you make it out here for a game. So I'm going to call it, because otherwise I'll sit here and I'll keep talking about comparing players to burritos and food and stuff. So thank you guys so much. This was fun. I might do something tomorrow. I'm trying to do these every day, but it's really hard to, talk about the same Niner stuff like every single day. So maybe I'll find a way to work stuff like this into the title or whatever. We'll find something out. So again, thank you guys so much. This was super fun. I'm going to cut it off now. Everybody have a good night. Have a safe weekend. Have a lot of fun. And if anything changes between now and the next couple of days, I'll be back going live talking about something. But for now, I know for sure Monday, maybe tomorrow, depending on how